Hi, team. Very good morning and good evening, all. So let's get started, guys. Okay, so let's continue to our SQL session, right? What we were learning in the last week, the core foundational or very basic fundamental SQL components. I have talked with you guys on the last Saturday, right? And this week I wanted to have one more session to complete the SQL alone, and we are not in a position to go with the data warehouse, right? The data warehouse I'll be taking to you guys as a part of our Hive learning. While Hive, we are going to learn in a hands-on based way. I'll take you guys to this data warehouse also and make you understand the difference between the data warehouse and data lake and the lake house and all this and all. By that way, whatever the portion of data warehouse you are supposed to understand, I'll be bringing that to you guys. But right now, what we'll concentrate, we'll concentrate maybe a kind of a hands-on based learning of SQL. I wanted you guys also to parallelly practice with me on doing the SQL queries along with me. Okay, maybe whatever fundamental you can able to practice, not entirely everything. The rest of the other maybe SQL queries and all the maybe like interview related SQL queries also I have given in this practice queries section basically. But before that, right, we'll go and start build some database tables and we'll start build some database. We'll start build some tables, right? We create some DDLs to go and create some tables, and then we'll understand about how to create a table, how to create a database, how to load some data to the table, and then how we can go and perform some operations on that table data by writing the queries by using the DQLs, right? So we are going to fundamentally learn today, right, with a very important three components we are going to learn. One is the DDL, DML, and DQL. So I have kept all the queries over here to basically perform this operation of the DDL, DML, and the DQL operation, right? Along with some interview discussion, interview question discussions and all we'll do also. But this one is going to be applied based on whatever we are learning here, whatever we are going to learn here in this data query language or data definition, data manipulation language. But before going into this part, let me open our presentation. I'll give you the high level overview of the discussion what we were making in the last week, right? About the database, right? About the learning what we are doing. I was talking about how much learning is SQL learning is very important, right? How much SQL we are going to learn in this session, which is all about what is DML, DQL, DDL, DCL, and TCL. We are going to learn about it. How much important or which are all important, which are all less important, we are going to understand. The SQL types we are going to learn, and who are all our intended learners, which is all about like who does not have any idea about what is SQL, or who have very basic idea of SQL, or wanted to refresh the SQL very quickly, or the intended learners of the participants who are all participating today and in the last week also. How to learn SQL smartly. For example, I'll tell you one thing. Today, one of our team member was writing a Hive query while I was talking about, or while I was creating some table and loading some data into the Hive, and when I was talking about inserting some data to a Hive table, he's typing insert into table name within the bracket the values without mentioning the values class. So how much the class is very important. How do you learn SQL? By learning about the classes, by knowing about the classes is very important. That I finally go and show you guys in this document. I have captured some of those fundamental SQL based classes. So we will go and refer those documents back and forth and all, and we will try to learn this particular learning today. And how do we do the practice? I have given you the environment for practicing. I gave you a cloud-based database available for you to practice in a beautiful GUI fashion using some tool like MySQL Workbench or whatever for you to practice. All this we have available in front of us. How we are going to leverage it? It's the only question what all of us have. So now let's go and enter into our actual learning. So SQL, we got some few facts understood when it got introduced and all this understood. And what is an architecture of a RDBMS? We were understanding the very high level architecture of RDBMS on the day when we were connecting, when we were discussing, right? Every data from the storage layer will be brought to the memory container of the database, the memory engine of the database, which will be processed by the SQL query that we are writing, including the metadata layer will be maintaining all the structure of the tables and the data that we stored in the file. But fundamentally, in Hive, we were putting more effort on learning about the architecture of the database like this, something like this. In both weekday and weekend, I was talking about this architecture of a database more in detail, though we are not talking about this architecture in our actual database session, because actual database session is more shrinked way of learning the database, fundamental of database we were learning. So I was not talking by spending a lot of time in this architecture and all, but we spend a lot of time in discussing about this architecture in our regular Hive learning. So whatever we don't learn in the SQL session today or last week, we are going to get them covered in our Hive learning overall. So we don't have to worry about are we missing anything in the SQL. So we are going to completely learn SQL only throughout our learning journey. But this particular image depicts what we are going to enter into a database server. This is a database server I was just talking with you guys. The complete box is a database server. In the database server, we created, or we have a Linux server. Inside the Linux server, we got a database created, a database server created. The database server can be created with multiple schemas or databases or catalogs or data sets, any name you can give for that. The subject area we are creating. Oh, keep all the retail data in one database. Keep all the HR data in HR database. Keep all maybe like financial data in financial database. Create some databases according to our need. Create a database in my name and store all my information over there in the database like this. I wanted you all to create some database in the cloud server, in the cloud database server. By giving the IP address, port number and everything, you are connecting through the client tool, something called Workbench or whatever, and you are going to connect to the database to create some tables or databases or tables and play around with the tables by writing queries. That is what we are ultimately doing in our exercise right now. We are going to do that exercise only right now. Okay, what are the components of a database? If you are going to get a database created inside a database server, the database as such comprised of what are all the components? First component, the core component, the top level component of a database is schema or a database or a catalog or a data set or any name you can give for that. First level, what you have to create is a database or a schema. Both are same. Schema and databases are a different name given for a database, right? So database or a schema is a container of all tables, views, indexes, materialized views or constraints or anything you can call it as with respect to our database or with respect to our system. What are the tables we are going to create? We will be creating them inside a database only or in a schema only. Both database and schema and catalog are all same. We can represent all of them in the same way. Everything is same. That question everybody has in the last week. What is database? What is schema? I told an alias for database. Other way we used to call the database as schema. In some team or some databases, in the database servers, they used to call it a schema for representing a database. In some other databases, they will call database itself for representing the schema, representing a subject area. A group of tables will be collected in a database. Like this, they will be representing HR database, marketing database, retail database, wholesale database. Like this, they will be creating databases to divide the data and keep them in a segregated fashion. Like how this table contains multiple racks, multiple drawers. In that multiple drawers or the cupboards, we are keeping different types of data, right? The respective related data we are keeping. Like this, our database looks like. So last week, mainly we covered what is a database or a schema, how to create a database or a schema in our cloud database server, which is running in a US data center. Then we are supposed to create tables. We are supposed to create database. We are supposed to create tables inside the database. Table is nothing but the container of the data stored in a format of rows and columns. Like how we create an Excel sheet with rows and columns defined with some data type, with some structure that we define. That is a table. Field or a column is nothing but an attribute or a name given for having the respective data in our table. The part of data in our table will be represented vertically, identified vertically in a form of column or a field. A literal example what we can take to understand a table is an Excel sheet. In an Excel sheet, if I have ID, amount. And if I have some maybe like flag, then we call this as a table. I put a tabular columns on this data. If I have this column, or if I identify this G is containing the ID column, amount is containing the amount, flag is containing the flag value, columns of a database table, columns of a table. The table contains 3 columns. The table contains multiple rows, 10 rows. Like this, you could able to identify the data in a form of table with rows and columns. Columns are the vertical identifier of the given data set, given attribute or given field. The name or an attribute contains the name given for a particular vertically identified data of a table. Part of the table will be identified vertically with the help of columns. That is what we understood. A column means what? Which can be applied with the data type. So we can go and format this column as a number data type. We can go and format this column as a decimal data type. We were doing this operation. Number or currency data type. I can put amount. So it is showing the amount in a currency format. Like this, the columns can be identified with data type and the format of the data. Everything we can apply in a column. Right? That is nothing but the field or a column. Data type is nothing but a particular defined type that I can apply on a given column. Depends upon the type of data that we use in a given column. So based on the type of data that we store, the column values can be, the column data type can be defined. When you wanted to store some data into a table in a database, we need to first have a database available. Either it has to be already available, created by your administrator, or you have to get one database created or a schema created. Both are same. Then you create a table inside that schema. You have to go inside the database or inside that schema and create a table inside it. Like as I was telling, if this Excel sheet is the database, means it contains multiple tables in it. Every sheet is a table you can consider like that. This is one table. Customer ID, customer name, age and address I'm going to store. Then it is a table I'm creating. This table contains 4 columns. This table can have multiple rows added in it. Like this, you can call this Excel sheet as a database means, or a schema means the table is a sheet in an Excel, the tab in an Excel. Then every column, the vertically identified column, which can be applied with the data type, is a field or a column in a data in a table. Then every row that is identified horizontally, right? A small difference between the row and the table is row and the column is column is identified vertically, row is identified horizontally. But a major difference between the row and the column is row can have heterogeneous data type, different data types, whereas a column will contain only a homogeneous type, only a given data type. For example, if I take this age column, it contains integer type. If I take this first row, it contains integer column, string value, integer value, string value. It can contain heterogeneous data type. A small difference what we have. A row can have multiple data types. A column can have only one data type. The entire column should have only one data type. The address means it is a string data type. Age means integer data type. CNAME means, customer name means string data type. Customer ID means integer data type. Like this, we have the column level data type is homogeneous and the row level data type is heterogeneous. Heterogeneous means differential data type. With me, guys? The row is nothing but a collection of given column values identified horizontally with some identifier. Identifier means I'm going to tell, oh, take the row number 1, row number 2, row number 1, row number 2. Like this, I can identify the data with some identifier. Customer ID, this customer ID 1. Who has a name called Irfan? Who has an age called, the customer ID 1's age is 42. The customer ID 1's address is 139, age is Kani Velcheri. Like I will be identifying the row with a value, the column with a name. This is the fundamental of the database and the table. Okay, guys, what you are supposed to know. View is a stored query. This is not in our radar right now. Maybe we'll take this in a later point of time. So fundamentally, what you are supposed to know is these concepts. I hope you are all very clear in this concept before we go and do any other operations. Okay, so I'm just going to create. See, every database has its tables with different data types that can be used for creating a table. Different data types we have available in different databases. In Oracle, we have some data types are available. In MySQL, we have some data types. Hive, we have some data types. BigQuery, we have some data types. So we'll create the data type differently in different environments. Right? That data type learning, what is this particular data type? Commonly, first you have to learn. What are the common data types? Particularly, we have integer data type or numeral data types, number data types, right? And then string data type. Commonly, I'm talking about string data type. Then, as you guys mentioning, date data type or Boolean data type. Like this, we have some common categories of data types are available in every databases. But if I go particularly for a numeric data type in a database, some database will say, Irfan, you got to store integer data type as int. Some people will say you have to create an integer data type as int 64-bit integer, 32-bit integer. Somebody will say you have to create integer as a data type. Somebody will say that you have to create an integer as a number data type. Number you have to mention. Like different databases will have the different syntaxes used, but the concept remains same. I want to store some numbers. I'll use what data type? Number data type, numerical data type. The numerical data type has multiple categories, what we were discussing in the last week, but that and all very much specific to the databases. So if you are going to work in particular database, then you have to get familiarity in that particular data types. But commonly you have to know, oh, there are multiple data types we have available. Where we learn about the data types more in detail, even in Hive, we learn about that more in detail. And this session is not for learning everything in depth and all. Just I'm going to give you a high-level overview of what is database tables and all these things. But in Hive, if you are going to learn further, you have the data types are available like this. This is applicable not only for Hive. This is common for every databases. Even I could put over here for your references. So every databases have their data types available. This is a Hive data types. What you are going to learn subsequently, right? Hive we are going to concentrate, right? If you see here, this is a Hive's data type. Like this, you can apply this for MySQL or Oracle or any databases also, doesn't matter. Numeric data type, date time data type, string data type, miscellaneous data type. Like we have different data types available in the miscellaneous Boolean or binary. String we have varchar, char or string itself as such available in Hive as such concern. But the data type what I create in Hive, I can't literally use all the data types in MySQL. Whatever the data types I'm using in MySQL, I can't literally use in Hive. Like there are some database level restrictions are there. We can't create a data type called integer in BigQuery. In Hive, we can't create a int64 in Hive, int64 in MySQL. Like every database has their own definition of data types, but it falls under the common category. What are all at least the top 3 categories I would say of every database have some data types? String, number, and date and time. These 3 are the major data types that we have available. So if you see here, this is numeral data types. This is string data type. This is date and timestamp data type. We have some miscellaneous data types available, complex data types, nested data types, collection data types, collection types, like this and all we have available specific to that environment we'll learn later. What is data type as such? You see the Excel sheet and try to understand. Don't get complicated on the data types, just try to understand fundamentally in a layman perspective. This particular column, I'm going to define a type. A literal example is I'm going to define this type as a currency type. This as a number type I'm going to define. Like this, you can define the data type for a given column. Column level data type you can define. But row level, the data type can't be defined. Row level, it has multiple data types applied. So this row contains the row number 1 contains integer, currency, and then the number data type, integer data type or whatever, small int data type or whatever. Like this, you could say the heterogeneous data types will be coming in a row, but in a column, homogeneous data type, only one data type will be applied in a column. Fundamental of data types, right? Just at the very high level, I just mentioned it. Okay, let's go further down. So now we are supposed to have this understanding predominantly what I covered last week. We have to do what? We have to enter into our workbench. So go and start your workbench, guys, all of you. We are supposed to start our workbench. Go to the database connection what you have created to connect to our MySQL database last week. So whoever did not do this yet, please go to our drive, where in our weekday 34, weekend 45 big data folder, in our big data drive location, I have one folder called SQL DWH created. In this folder, you can find MySQL Workbench installation document. Using this document, download the software from the internet and go and install this software. Mention database new. In the software, you have something called database, right? Go and manage connections, create a new database. Create a new database. Add all the credentials that I have shared here to connect to the cloud database what I have. Then click on the test connection. Once the connection is tested, close the connection. If it is saying connection is successful, then you close the connection. This is how you have to create a database connection for the first time. Manage connection. Click on new, create a connection by mentioning all these values and all what I mentioned in the document. Once you are done with that, you are good to connect to the database by using the respective database connection. So once you created that connection, you can go and use that connection to any time. Any of this database, you can go and connect. CloudDB, JBar, the new connection. Any of these databases, I can able to connect going forward. So I connected with CloudDB database. Click on the CloudDB database and connect. You are connected to the CloudDB database, or I am connected to the CloudDB database. By default, I configured in the CloudDB. Core banking is my database I created. I connected to a database server, CloudDB database server. You all connected with the CloudDB database server. And we are all going to write some queries on this CloudDB database. This database is running in US, in a Linux server or in a Windows server, I don't bother. We are simply using a client tool to connect with that remote database. So whatever the database I create from Chennai or from your Hyderabad or from your Mumbai or from your Bangalore or wherever you are staying, if you create a database, very first activity, we create a database. So I wanted all of you last week to create a database, something in your name. So right now I am going to create one database called Inceptez Learning. I'm creating one database in a name called Inceptez Learning. What you can do, Inceptez Learning underscore, you can mention your name, maybe Saravanan or Aishwarya, or already you guys have one database created for your name. Use that database. Let us use a common database called Inceptez Learning WE45 or WEWD WE45 WD34. Like this, I'm using a database name because I want to have one unique database name created for playing with some tables and data that I want to create. It should not be interfered by you. You should not go and create the same or use the same database to modify some data what I'm going to show you guys right now at the same time when I'm using it. So I want to use some unique database name, like I'm making it as a name called IC Learning, Inceptez Learning. You don't have to go and create the same database name. You create some other name for your own purpose along with me. So I'm creating a database and I'm going to go to that database by mentioning use IC Learning. I'm telling what? Hey, can you go to the database? So right now, which database it is pointing to? If I create a table, it will be pointing to core banking database. I'm telling, hey, no, please go to the Inceptez Learning database. I want to go to Inceptez Learning database. So I will click on the highlighted one. So it is moving my cursor from my pointer from the core banking database to the IC Learning database. IC Learning you guys have in your own name, but I'm just having a database name called IC Learning created. I'm refreshing this page. So it is showing IZ Learning is a database I am pointing to. So I am pointing to this IZ Learning database. Now I am pointing to the IZ Learning database. In this database, in this schema, I can create rather than create database, I can mention create schema also. Both are same. In this schema, I'm going to create a table. Table is a container of all data set. It's a collection of data in a form of rows and columns format. So I'm going to create a table structure. Create table sample1 of means bracket open, bracket close. With the column name and the data type, I'm going to mention ID integer, name string, age as integer, or age as small int. Small int means I don't want to store a very large volume of data or large number values inside this age column. So I'm going to make it a small int. String is not supported in the MySQL database, whereas it supports in Hive. What is difference between string and varchar? That we discuss later. But I'm going to create one table with the data type called varchar data type. Varchar of 100 is the size I'm defining. Age I'm making it as a small int. So the age will be supporting up to 100 numbers, 100 values only. So I don't want to keep it as an integer data type. Integer means it supports a bigger size value. Or if I'm going to mention the data type as a long or big int, it is going to support a very huge sized data. What is the number of bytes it supports? We don't have to worry. On every databases, it varies. But in a common note, you can consider, okay, I'm going to store large number of customer information, large number of ID values. The ID value I'm going to store is very big in size. So what I can do, I can go and create it as a big int. The age I'm going to store in a maximum of 99 or 100 or 101 as a number. So small int is enough. I'm going to store a name of maximum characters of 100 characters. A person have a name with maximum of 100 characters. More than that, I don't have any customer in my business. So like this, I can create a table in the database. I can go to the database and create a table inside the database, or I can mention, I can prefix the database name before the table name to create a table inside the database. Database name dot table name I can mention to create the same table inside the database. What it is telling? Irfan, since you use database name and went and created this table already inside this database, again when you try to create the same table, I throw an error. Table already exists inside the database called Inceptez learning database. So in the Inceptez learning database, already the table is existing. So in the IZ learning database, it is not coming up, it is not refreshing up, but it's okay. So I'm trying to refresh this table's information. It is not coming up in the side, like maybe we have administration page. I told, right, don't worry, don't rely on this browser. You just go and see what are all the tables are present in this database by typing, yes, as Sarvana Kumar is mentioning, show tables. So it is showing me what are all the tables are available in this database. In this database of IZ learning, these are all the tables are available. Just now I created. So creating of a database, creating a table with the column definition, with the column name and the data type. This is column name, this is data type, right? I can have a table created. I realized, yes, the table got successfully created. So what I did so far is I did a DDL operation. Creating a database is a DDL operation. Data definition I'm changing. Then creating a table inside the database is a data definition language I'm doing. Now I'm going to perform what? DML operation. DML operation means what? I'm going to insert some data to the table. So I'm going to mention insert into table name, the syntax, values of, how many columns I have? 3 columns. So I'm going to insert one record or multiple records at the same time. So insert into table name, customer ID, customer name, age. One record I can insert at a time. So what is the syntax? Insert into table name, values of. This is where one of our team member was missing. Why? Because he did not remember that syntax. So the very important factor is remembering of syntax. So Saranakumar have typed show table. Show table is not a right syntax. Show tables is the right syntax. Show tables will show the output. So where you can go and get those syntaxes and all identified. What you have to remember is not insert into sample 1 values of 1, Irfan, 42. You have to remember what you know. How to create a table, how to create or insert some data to the table. How do you remember this syntax? Create table, table name, of means open and close bracket, data, column name, data type, column, column name, data type. When I was asking somebody else to create a table today, he was typing something like this, create table, underscore, something like ABCD, he was mentioning like this. I told, no, you should mention create table as a syntax. The table name is ABCD, of, open and close to bracket. You got to put the column name, data type. Data type could be integer or string or varchar or whatever the data type. He was writing something like this, a comma int. I told, no, a space int, b space char of 1. Like this, you have to write the syntax. Then I told, you go to the last page of this SQL document. He was asking me the question, where is the SQL document? Where is this document? I wanted to see. Then I told, no, I placed that in our drive already. Go and refer that. You may also have the same question. I'm not telling about that guy alone. I'm telling to all of you. You may have the same question. Go to the last 24th page. You can see create table syntax has to be how. Create table, table name, column name, data type. Constraints. Forget about constraints, which is not applicable in our big data platform, but you can put constraints also. There are constraints of 5 types is available. Not null constraint, unique constraint, check constraint, or primary key constraint, foreign key constraint, like that and all. There are different types of constraints available. We are not going to too much concentrate on the constraints and all. But basically, if I want to tell, hey guys, when you are creating a table like a integer, b char, you mention the a column should be not null. I can mention something like this in addition. So if anybody insert the data into this ABCD table, insert into ABCD values of null comma x, like this, when they are inserting the data to the table, it will throw an error. Hey, sorry, null is not allowed. The data has to have a value in the A column. But whereas here, if I insert null in the ID column, I'm telling insert null in the second record that I'm going to insert as Inceptez. In the same table, insert null value for the first column, the ID column. It will accept null. The data got stored into this table. When I write a select statement, it will show, yes, Irfan, I'm able to see the data. Select start from sample 1. When I write as a query, it will show me the result. Saying like, I got first row with null value and Inceptez 10. I got this value inserted with data. So the null value is inserted in the ID column, which is not supposed to happen. So I wanted to put that constraint here. Constraint means a rule that I'm going to apply while loading the data into the table, while joining the data, while joining the tables. I have different types of constraints available called not null constraint, primary key constraint, foreign key constraint, check constraint, unique constraint. Like lot of constraints are available while creating the table, but which is not much applicable for our big data platform. In the big data platform, we don't apply constraints more of. The reason behind constraints means what I'm telling. Hey, when somebody loads some data to this table, check what they are loading. Verify. Put a rule. Before the data is entered into this table, put a rule. Go and check whether they are following the rule or not. If they don't follow the rule, don't allow them inside. If I tell like that, it is good for bringing the data from the external system. External user is going to perform some operation, but without giving some mandatory value. Then we stop them. Hey, no. When you fill this form, when you make an order, the address is mandatory. So address column, if somebody make it as blank, I don't accept. I'll show in a red color marking and all. These fields are mandatory to fill. In my front end, I will display these fields are mandatory, otherwise my database table will not accept. So when the OLTP system, where the data is getting ingested, is happening, at that time, this constraint plays a vital role in the database tables and all. But we are using big data platform, data warehouse, data lake, lake house and all. Usage of this rule applied on the table is not mandatory. We don't usually apply these rules and all in our tables when we create it in Hive or BigQuery or in Synapse or in Redshift or in Athena or in any of the big data oriented environments. We don't apply these constraints much of, but a table can be created with the complete syntax of what I have here. I'm having an embedded document in our presentation. Please make use of this document. To understand the syntax has to be how. If you are stuck somewhere, go and check, create table, table name, or try to recall to say I learned SQL to a basic extent. Remember the syntax. If you remember the syntax, you don't make mistake in the syntax. Show databases, show tables, like what our Sarana Kumar have typed is show table. No, show tables is correct. So remember that show tables. Show columns from a table. What all the columns are present in the table? Maybe describe table name or show columns from table. These are all the syntaxes. Not every syntaxes are important. But try to recall some of the syntaxes, like select column 1, column 2 from table name. Select star from table name. These are all very fundamental SQL queries that I have captured in this document for your reference. Please make use of this fundamental SQL queries. Describe will help us describe the structure of the table. Like how this table you created, Irfan, tell me. You created one table called ABCD, right? Help me describe the table. Describe table name. Every SQL has to be terminated with a semicolon. If I don't have a semicolon here, if I run this query, it will throw an error. Irfan, select insert you are doing. It won't work. I don't work. It will throw an error. It is telling what is this? It is considering entire query as a single query. Select star from sample 1, insert into ABCD values of null comma x. It is considering this as a complete query. So termination of 2 queries can be done through semicolon. Semicolon plays a vital role in terminating a given SQL query. By giving semicolon, I'm telling this is a query number 1, this is query number 2. Though I keep both the queries in a single line, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. But if you got to terminate a query with semicolon, semicolon plays a vital role to complete the query. I'm telling this query is completed by telling semicolon. So how to create a table, how to see the tables in a given database, how to insert the data into a table fundamentally by writing a DML query, data manipulation language I write to insert the data into the table, data query language to query the data from the table of all columns or specific columns, describing the table to understand the structure of the table, including the column name, data type and everything, whether it is accepting null or not. What's the default value it has to store if somebody is not giving the value to this table? For example, I'm creating the table called ABCDE, mentioning A as integer, not null. Default of 0 has to be stored. Like this I'm telling. Hey, if somebody is inserting null, don't accept null, make it as 0 as a value, at least. Like this I'm telling. So if somebody loads some data to this ABCDE with null value, what will happen? I will tell load it with 0. Since it won't accept null, okay, maybe like I'm just doing a default of 0, this table. Not everywhere this syntax works. So drop table A, B, C, D, E. I'm just dropping the table, deleting the table, recreating the table with the default of 0 added. So now when somebody insert null to this table, load 0 in it. In that place, you load 0 that I'm telling. So what is happening? Oh. Okay. So let us have like this, something like this. Let's not load null to this table. Let's have something like this loaded. A, B, C, D, E of the B column, I'm going to store with the value of Y. Y. While I'm not giving value for X, it will load with 0. So you can go and see the ABCD will have the second record loaded with 0 as a value by default. Y 0. I did not give the A column, I did not mention. So it will load 0 for the A column automatically. So this description of the table is showing me very clearly. Irfan, this column can accept null. Is this a primary key column? No. What is primary key? I'm not talking with you at all even now. We'll talk about it even sometime later also, but I want to concentrate something else important than that. Default constraint we can add. Some other extra values you want to mention, some description you want to mention, you can mention. Like a table description completely we are seeing here. What is the column name? What is the data type? Whether it can support null, whether it's a key column, whether it's a primary key column, whether it's a key column of the table, important primary key column of the table, which will not accept null, which will not accept duplicate, like this and all. We can describe and see the table structure, the table information, additional information about the table. That is the describe command that we can use. So please refer this documentation, write the query on the table, whatever we are creating, and try to understand about some of these nitty-gritty things, at least these things. How to create a table, how to show the table structure or the data, the tables that is present in a database, or the columns present in a table. Describe the table entire structure, including the constraints and other rules and all that we put forth on the table. Select the data from the table, retrieve the data from the table, filter the data when you are selecting, perform some operations like comparison operation, logical operation, like this and all on the table data, which we are going to discuss today right now. Like we are going to learn about these concepts right away in the name of DQL soon. But what I just discussed with you guys right now is this part. You are all good with this. If you tell yes, or if you have any questions, I'll be taking you forward. Fundamental, core fundamental, database, schema, tables, fields, column, data type, record row. If you understand, I'm great. So we got 2 rows returned here. If I select the data from this table, it returns 2 records, 2 rows. We used to call this as row. 2 rows we got returned while selecting the data from the table. Great case. So let's move forward. These are all some fundamental nitty-gritty queries that we are using for understanding the concept of this one, what we discussed. Okay, let me put that point over here for your reference as well. But we are going to learn much more than this in our learning. This is a core foundation, core fundamental. So with this, right, you two wanted to load some data into the table, right? What I would suggest is we'll go and do one thing. We'll go and learn about the different types of SQL queries that we are going to use. The first priority item is data query language. But in order to write some query on a table, In order to do some DQL on a table, first you have to define the data. First you have to define the table. So data definition language is first important. First you have to create a database, then you have to create a tables. Then we have to do some DML operation, data manipulation operation, to load some data to the table. If you remember correctly, we were creating a database schema last week. We created some tables inside the database. We altered the table to add some column. We can remove the column from the table, drop column from a table, everything we can able to do. Last week I was just quickly showing you guys all this part. But very importantly, the DDL operation is important in terms of creating the table. Modification, dropping and all we do very rarely. Renaming of the column, renaming of a table and all we may do very rarely. Very importantly, what we are supposed to do after we create a table, we are supposed to load a data to the table. So load the data to the table by using DML operation. That is what we are supposed to do. So how do you load the data into a table? So rather than I just go and or I mentioned some example of insert into table name values of. So I created a table called Irfan TBL. I loaded some data to this table. How do you load the data into this table? Insert into some core fundamentals, what we were discussing just above. Insert into table name, Irfan TBL, values of the columns, whatever I created, ID, name, age, date of birth, whatever I created, I'm going to load into this table. So ID, name, age, date of birth, in a format of year, month and day. The data has to be in a format of year, month and day. Like this, I'm going to load the data into this table, first of all. So I'm creating one table, again, Irfan TBL, I'm creating inside the database called the IZ learning database, Inceptez learning database, loading some data to the table, insert into table name, values of. This has to be a single quote. It should not be the quote used in the document and all. So I'm going to insert some record into a table, right? So I can query the data from the table. So what you guys are going to do, you guys are going to do the same activity, not on this sample data. Basically, I created 4 columns. 4 columns contains integer data type, string varchar data type, small int data type or int data type, date data type. What is the significance of using date data type? We can apply some date functions on it. What is the year of the birth of Irfan? If I want to know, I'll give year of DOB. ID comma year of DOB. If I give the function, if I write, it will return me only the year when Irfan was born. Month of, day of, like this and all I can give on the date. If I store the data in a date format, the benefit of storing in date format. You can store the same data of birth in a varchar 10 format also. Varchar also we can give, but storing in a date format will help us apply date functions. Date functions. That and all we will learn more in detail subsequently in our learning, not in our SQL learning today. We learn about the some of the nitty-gritty functions today, but the explicit date functions and all we learn in our Spark, Hive, BigQuery, everywhere. Okay, keep it aside. Now what I wanted is, right, just wanted to give you some core idea about creating a table, loading some data, creating a table from another table with or without loading data. This is one concept I wanted to discuss. I have already a table called Irfan TBL present. I want to take up a backup of this table in some other table called Irfan TBL underscore backup. So we use a concept called create a table from another table with or without data. That means what? I want to create one more ditto table like Irfan TBL. What I'll do, I'll create table Irfan TBL underscore backup, not by mentioning all this column name, data type and everything once again. This table is created a week ago. I don't know what is the DDL of this. I don't know what is the table column name, data type and all they used already while creating this table. I have to put either describe table name, get the table structure, and I have to create the same structure here by typing. Rather, I'm going to simplify my life by telling what? Hey, already there is one table called Irfan TBL is created. I want to create one backup table to store the Irfan TBL data into this table and create the same table as like Irfan TBL. I already have one table. I want to create another ditto table, a replica table of that. How can I do that? We use a concept called CTAS. CTAS. There are three concepts I'm going to discuss with you guys. Or two concepts. CTAS with data, CTAS with data, CTAS without data. Some interesting factors, some fundamentals. CTAS without data, IS query. We are going to talk about these three types of queries. So CTAS query, IS query, IS query. What does that mean? I ultimately wanted to create a table as like another table with data. So I'm creating one table called Irfan TBL underscore backup as create table as select star from another table. This is called CTAS query. In general, in organization, people used to say, yeah, I did a CTAS. Agree, team? Anybody of you know about? Yes, I heard about the CTAS. I use CTAS. Couple of people who knows SQL also is attending. So they are raising their hand. Yes, Irfan. I used CTAS. Right? This is called CTAS. CTAS means what? Create a table as like the other table. Whatever this table is producing the result in a screen, I'm telling what? Store the data into some other table. Like how we are doing some cat operation on a file in Linux, putting double greater than and storing the data into another file. The same concept. So I'm telling what? Select the data from a table and show me the result. So rather than storing the result in the screen, you do what? You create another table in the same structure as like this table and store the data into that another table, the backup table, like this I'm telling. Currently, do we have this Irfan TBL underscore backup available? No, it is not available. It will throw error. Sorry, the table not found. It is throwing an error. Now, after I run this query, it is telling what? Yes, Irfan, there is a table called Irfan TBL underscore backup is there. I help you bring the data from the table because it got just copied from the Irfan TBL. It is telling, yes, Irfan, I have a table called Irfan TBL available. Underscore backup is available because just now we got this table created from the original table called Irfan TBL with data. I want to create a table without data, CTAS without data. So what I'll do here, where I'll put something called false. I'll say, or where 1 equal to 0, I'll put. What does it mean? I'm telling, hey, can you select the data from this table if 1 equal to 0? Is 1 equal to 0 at any time? No, right? 1 is not equal to 0. So what happens? This condition is failed. This condition is failed. What happens now? The data will not be fetched from the table. Only the structure will be taken from the table as Praveen is mentioning. Only the structure of the Irfan TBL will be collected. You can see no records will be found. Only the structure of the table will be found. That structure will be creating on another table with no data. Backup, no data. Only I'm creating another table as like this table without data, without copying the data. CTAS with data is this one. CTAS without data is this one. CTAS without data is this one. Right? So I'm creating a table structure alone this time. I'm not loading the data to the table. So if I query this table, this table with no data, it will show I don't have any data in my table is fine. Because you asked me to copy only the structure, I copied the structure. As like this table, I copied the structure of the table to here. No data copied. Now I want to say, no, now can you help me with the data? What I'm telling? I'm using IS query. What I'm telling? Insert into this table Select star from the other table. This time what I'm telling, IS query I'm writing, insert select. Insert into the table which does not have any data. Select star from the other table. See, these both we can do separately to achieve this one. This one I'm achieving in one shot, creating a table and loading data. This one I'm doing what? Creating a table only, not loading data from the other table. This one I'm doing later. Loading the data I'm doing later. Right? It depends on the need of your business. So there is no data in the table. I'm going to do insert of the data from other table to this table. Because both are same structure. I'm copying the data from other table to this table. So what happened? The data got copied. So I'm using an insert select statement. So now, do you know about, we can create a table from another table with or without data. We can load the data from another table into the current table. Create or and load table from another table using this syntaxes. With me in this team or not? With me in this foundation? Some basic thing, right? Some basic foundational thing. Some basic interesting concept of SQL queries. Okay. So create or drop database or schema. Create or modify the layout of the table. Drop or rename the table with schema. Table from a schema. Drop a table from a schema. Alter table name, rename to some other table we can write as well to rename a table. This and all maybe you can least bother. The DDL you can least bother, but still we are doing some DDL operations. Create a table from another table with or without data. It's a DDL operation we are doing. Not by defining the columns of our own. We are doing it by maybe like using another table. We are not manually typing all the columns of a table. We are doing it manually, right? So loading the data into the table, it's a DML operation. Creating a table from another table without data or with data is a DDL operation we are performing. Then constraints, default values, null. The constraints are of different types. I don't want to talk about all the constraints, but default and nulls at least I discussed with you. At least I gave you some idea about the default constraints, null constraints and all here. Default and not null constraints and all, I gave you an idea, basic idea. Create a table with default constraint, null constraint, not null constraint. Not null constraint. But least bother. This constraint concept you can least bother. Now when I insert into ABCDE table, values of B column with the values of something like X or whatever, the data will be loaded into the A column with default value of 0. If I try to load the data into this below table with both the columns mentioned, with the first column as null value, or if I create another table with not null constraint, and if I say load the data only into the B column, not into the A column, then it will throw an error saying, sorry, the A column has to have a value. You can't load null into the table. Like this, we are supposed to get the data loaded into the table with a, if I have a default constraint or null constraint mentioned, not null constraint mentioned, we have to follow the rule and load the data accordingly. This time putting the normal code. For your reference. Codes will be changing in our this thing and all, our presentation and all. Truncating of a table is a DDL operation. So this is one of the very important interview questions. Truncating and deleting of the data from a table. We know how to create a table, load some data into the table by doing an insert values or insert from another table. We want to delete the data from this table. We have some data in this table. I want to delete it. How can I delete it? Either I can drop this entire table itself. I can drop this table from this database itself, or I can delete this data from delete the data from the table. Delete from the table name I can mention. So what happens? The data in the table will be deleted. The structure will be remains there. Structure will not be removed out. But whereas the drop table, when I do, it will delete the data and it will remove the table also from the database. It will delete the data table also from the database. But whereas there is one intermediate statement called truncate statement is there. Truncate the table command we have, right? Truncate table name we have. What this truncate will do? The truncate will also delete the data from the table. But the delete statement is a DML operation, while truncate is a DDL operation. And the drop is a DDL operation. So the DDL we are learning right now. I can delete the data from the table, truncate the data from the table. That means delete the data from the table. Or I can drop the data or drop the table from a given database. Both we can do. These two are DDL operations. These two are DDL operations. Truncating of the data from a table, dropping a data from a table, or dropping a table itself is a DDL operation. Drop and truncate. There will be an interview question asked. Very importantly. What is the difference between delete, truncate, and drop? Agree, team? Couple of you guys might got this question. Who were at least in the SQL or not in the SQL background, you might have got this question. Definitely they'll ask this question. Okay. What is the difference between these three? Delete from table name will help you delete the data from the table. Truncate table name will also delete the data from the table. First, let's compare the difference between delete and truncate. Both are going to help you delete the data from the table only. But delete is a DML operation, while truncate is a what operation? DDL operation. First difference. It's a data definition language. It's a data manipulation language. That is not a big deal here. The very important difference between these two is delete can help you, or we can do conditional delete, whereas we can't do conditional truncate. What does it mean? In a delete statement, we can write a where clause, as Prabhakaran is mentioning, where ID is greater than 1. Whichever the ID in the table contains the data greater than 1, you delete only those data. I'm telling like that. So if I say like that, it is telling I got okay. So what it is telling, there is some constraints you applied on this table, right, Irfan? So it is not allowing the constraint. The constraint is not allowing you to delete with ID greater than 1 or whatever the constraint is not allowing. It is telling, okay, let it be. The key level constraint is not allowing you to delete the data. Let it be. That's okay. So I'll create another table. Since we created some constraint and all on the table, it is telling something related to we can't apply this filter, but let it be. I'm going to put not on this ID column. I'm going to put an ID value on some other column. Okay, 1 second. Irfan table, backup, no data. So the date of birth or age is greater than 42. I'm going to put. any age is greater than 42, you delete only those data like this and delete. Conditional delete I'm doing. It is asking me to reconnect. I'm not sure why. So something, the database seems to be not in a running state. Okay, let me go on to open a new terminal. So I will go to the database called IZ Learning. Okay. For now, leave this delete. It is having some property set in the database not to allow the data to be deleted with this conditional, whatever the delete statement. There is some database property by default, it seems to be set. But basically, in a table that you have the data, if I'm taking you to our MySQL database of our environment, our own MySQL database, what we have, select start from Praveen. I have some data stored in this table, Praveen table, right? If you see, delete from Praveen, where ID is equal to 2. So it got deleted. The data got deleted. So whereas I can't do the truncate with the condition, right? So the same MySQL only. Maybe here in this environment, some setting is made. We have to go and check why it is like that. Let's not spend time on it. But we can do a conditional delete in a delete statement, which is possible. But whereas in a truncate, it will delete the entire data from the table. That's the reason we are calling it as a DDL. Here we are calling it as a DML, data manipulation. We are doing some manipulation on the data and deleting only some portion of data, whichever is not having the age not equal to 42 alone, we are deleting. Whichever the data that contains age not matching with 42, we are deleting. So conditional delete we can do in the delete statement, whereas in the truncate statement, we can't put any condition. We can't put a where class here. It won't work. Where is not a legitimate syntax to use. Drop table when I do. So truncate table when I did, what happens? The data is in the table is completely deleted, wiped off. But the table still exists. What is the drop will do? Right? So the difference between drop and the delete is, drop and the truncate is, we can't do conditional truncate, but truncate will delete only the or remove only the data, not the structure of the table. Whereas the drop when we do, it is applicable with all this. Drop is a DDL operation. We can't do a conditional drop and all. It will drop the entire table. And drop will remove both data and the structure of the table. So if I drop this table, I lost my table. The table is totally lost. I can't able to see my table. It's throwing an error. Sorry, the table does not exist. Team, are you all with me? What is the difference between delete, truncate, and drop? It's an important interview question as well, but truncate and drop are the DDL statements. The delete is a DML statement. So we are not supposed to worry about this DML statement here. Just I'm bringing it for your purpose of relation or comparison. But we have to worry about only the DDL statement here. Truncate table, drop table. Drop is a DDL operation. Drop is a DDL operation. Let's stop here. The data definition language comprised of create table, modify the table, create a table from another table with data, without data, right? Applying the constraints while creating the table, truncate the table, drop the table. All these are falling under the DDL. All are falling under the DDL. So we are talking about the DDL primarily. Before we go and learn the DML or BQL, it has multiple topics to discuss. Create or drop the database, DDL operation. Create or modify the layout of the table, DDL operation. We learned this last week. Alter the table, add a column, remove a column, everything we did. Then we learned about just loading the data into a table, which is not a part of this learning. It is not a DDL, it's a DML, but still we are just trying to load some data to the table for our learning purpose. Then create and load the data from another table, which is also a DDL operation. We are creating a table from another table with data, without data. Inserting the data from another table is a DML, which is not the part of learning here, what we are doing. It's not in a part of our learning, but still we are doing some DML operation to just understand. Load some data from another table is also possible. That is the IS query what we are writing. So 3 types of query we used to write: CTAS with data, without data; IS query for inserting and selecting the data from another table. Then we are talking about the constraints. Then we are talking about the truncate table versus the drop versus truncate versus delete, or delete versus drop versus truncate. So this is a DML operation. Still we are learning, but it's okay. We are comparing all the 3. What truncate will do, Mohan Raj, just it will go and delete the data from the given table without allowing you to write any condition. I have 100 records in a table. I want to delete only few records in the table by putting a condition. I can delete by using delete statement by putting a condition A. Whichever the ID with value 2 it has, delete only those data. I'm telling Mohan Raj. But when I write a truncate statement, truncate table Praveen, I can't write a where class here. Where ID equal to 1, I can't tell. Sorry, you are not writing a right syntax, it is telling. I have to only truncate the data from a table completely. What it will do? It will delete the data in the table. But the table is still existing. I can write still a select star from table. It will say no data present in the table. Mohan Raj. What is truncate and delete? You are able to understand. Delete will help you delete only some particular portion of data. Conditional delete we can do. Truncate will help you truncate the entire data of a table without putting any condition. We can't put any condition. When we select the data from the table, it will still have the table available, but no data is available. When I do drop, what it will do? It will remove even the table. So when I write a select statement, it will say no such table present in our database. Truncate, drop, and delete. Drop will drop the table and the data also. Truncate will only delete the data, not the table. That means what? Delete means whichever the amount greater than 200 I want to delete. This is delete. Truncate means regardless whether the amount is greater than 200 or whatever, delete the entire data. Drop means drop the entire table. Drop the entire table. Don't have any residue of the table kept. in our environment. Drop the entire table. The structure is also dropped. The data is also removed out. Clear, guys? What is the difference between truncate, drop, and delete and all? Okay, it's all about it, right? Okay, fine, guys. DML, data manipulation language. Maybe I'll go with the Excel itself if you feel convenient on the Excel. Data manipulation language. What and all I can do on a DML? DML comprised of insert, update, delete. These three are the basic DML operations what we perform in a table. I'm going to insert one more record with an amount of 601 with a flag of 0 or 1 or whatever. This is insert. I inserted a data into a table. This is a part of DML operation. I'm updating a data in a table. I'm adding 10 rupees to this 200. It is becoming an update operation. And delete operation I'm doing. I'm deleting this entire row. And deleting this entire row is possible. Deleting of a column is not possible. Very important concept to understand. In our databases, row level databases, there are two types of databases are available. Row level database, column level databases, NoSQL databases or column level. Column oriented database, row oriented databases are there. But whatever we are currently learning is a row oriented database. In a row oriented database, we can have an opportunity to delete the entire data either. We can delete the entire row either, or the entire data from the table either. We don't have an opportunity to delete only a column from a given table, which is only possible in a NoSQL databases, which we learn subsequently later. Okay, keep it aside. So I can delete a row from a given table. This row can be entirely deleted. We call it as a delete operation. Delete operation. If I delete the entire data of this particular row, customer ID 7, I'm going to delete. Insert, delete, update. I'm updating a column or the entire row values I can update. Anything I can do. Multiple columns I can update or one column I can update. These three are important operation in a database is concerned. Because database that I'm using in a supermarket, in a point of sale system, may undergo multiple transactions, multiple update, deletes or insert operation. But when we take this data into our big data platform, into our Hive or BigQuery or somewhere, mostly we don't engage this DML operation much of. We bring the data once for all into our table and we write queries only to analyze the data, transform the data. We don't mostly perform update operation, delete operation, insert operation. For example, the databases, whatever is being maintained by somebody, by some company, will be telling what? Hey, when you come to a shop and purchase some product, I will put an entry, one record I'll be inserting into this table. When you go and maybe like update some product information, I'll update that in my table. When you delete some product which is outdated, which is expired, so I'll delete the data from the table. I'll do everything in my point of sale system in the front-end environment. But after, by the end of the day, after I completed all the insert, update, delete of the data, by the end of the day, I'll bring the data to Hive, into our data warehouse, into our data lake, into our Hadoop, into our Hive table, lakehouse. Once I bring the data to our Hive, the Hive is a data warehouse. Hive is a data lake. It's a lake house. Hadoop is a data lake, which is not good for allowing changes. So whatever the data that got inserted, updated, deleted in the source, by the end of the day will be brought to our Hadoop platform, which is not good for applying changes. Today morning, one of our team members wrote this query. Irfan, I tried loading the data into the table. I tried writing an update statement on the table. Update Praveen to set name equal to Praveen, where name is null. I wrote a query like this. But Hive is telling Sorry, attempt to update or deleting in the Hive is not supportive. If you want to support, you got to do some special operation here. But it is not supportive by default, like Hive is telling. But whereas the same query, if I write it in my MySQL, same query, if I copy and run it in MySQL, update table name, Praveen. Maybe I created a table called Praveen, right? Let me create a table. I'm going to insert some record to the Praveen table. So I'm going to update that ID as, update the name as Praveen rather than Udaya, where ID equal to 2. This DML operation is allowed in my database to do without any hassle. My database table, in my MySQL table, they are allowing me to do. Because database is meant for DML operation, whereas data warehouse like Hive, Big Lake like Hive, Big Lake like other big data platform that we are going to use like Spark and all, will say I don't engage, I don't encourage doing the data changes in our environment, because the base, the data is stored in where? In the Praveen 2 table, where is the data is underlyingly stored? In Hive. In Hive, where is the base data is stored for this table, guys? Where it is stored? In HDFS. HDFS says what? I'm not good for changes. I write once, read many. But databases says I allow you to update the data any number of times. I'm good for allowing you to update the data. But whereas Hive says I'm not good for updating the data. Sarona, you are able to get now today. Afternoon you tried updating and you told it is not working, right? Now you are able to update. Now you are able to understand why it is like that. I told we'll discuss on this, right? Now I'm not discussing. I will discuss in detail about this, but just I'm giving an idea. Hive is not good for same syntax only I'm writing. Same syntax only I run over here also. Databases are prone for DML operations. So in databases, learning of DML is good. We will use DML in our later learning also. But as such, directly we can't do DML operations in our big data platform. So DML can be least bothered. Again, I'm telling why I'm putting DML as a priority to, DDL as a priority to. Why I put? Because DDL operation we may do once in a while. Not daily we are going to create 100 tables. But we may write daily 100 queries. That's where I'm putting priority 1. We have to spend our another 1.5 hours of time to understand the DQL. Let's close this DML. DML represents what? Data manipulation language. Insert, update, delete. Insert can be done on a single row or multi-row we can do. Insert can be done on few columns or all the columns. Insert can be done on the table directly or from another table. All the possibilities we have. So let's go and do all the things. So insert into table. I'm having some table created here. I'm having a table created here. I'm having a sample 2 table created here with all these columns and all mentioned. Now I'm going to insert the data into this table. Insert into sample 2 values of, I'm inserting all the columns of this table. So single or multi-row we can insert in a table. All columns, single or multi-row we can insert. So one row I'm inserting 1, Irfan, 42. Single row insert I'm doing. Or I can do multi-row insert. At the same time, I can insert multiple rows. Number 2, Saravana, 32. Number 3, Venkatraman, 33. Like this, I can insert multiple rows at a time. Or I can insert one row at a time. Or I can insert only one column or 2 columns at a time. So how can I insert? I want to insert only the customer ID and the name. I don't have the age of the customer right now available in my hand. What I can do for that? I can say just insert the record number 4 with the name called Subhash, where I don't have the value for the age. So what I'll do, I'll mention in the column list here. Yeah, I have the column called ID and the name. Or I want to insert not ID and the name. I have only the ID and the age alone given by the customer. The name I missed to get from him. Subhash is of 35 years age. So what I'll do, I'll mention ID comma age here. So what is going to happen in the fourth record? It is going to load only the ID column and the age column. So how to insert single row, multiple row, only few columns from another table. You know IS query. From another table we can achieve by using insert select. Insert the data from another table. You already know that. So create another table, load the data into this table by using insert into sample 3 as select star from sample 2 or select ID and the age from sample 2. Create a insert into table name, create table ID and age alone. Second table I'm creating only with ID and age and loading only ID and age from sample 2 on this table. I'm not loading all the columns from the sample 2 table into sample 3. You are able to understand this queries what I'm writing here, team. With me in this queries what I'm writing. All of you understood this query. Anybody wanted me to repeat this or don't understand? Fundamental query I'm writing to insert the data into the table. One row, multiple row, one column, multiple column, or all the columns. Or inserting the data from another table. Fundamental thing. Let's run this query. It should work completely. All queries has to work. Insert into sample 3, select this column. Table sample 3 does not exist. Okay, everything is achieved. Now query the sample 2 table. Query the sample 3 table. You can find 1, 2, 3, 4. All this data got loaded into the sample 2 table. Sample 3 table, load the data. Sample 3 data got loaded with the data from the sample 2 table. If I do this insert select, the data from the sample 2 got loaded into sample 3. Only the 2 columns are loaded from sample 3 to sample 2. Can we insert values in same line also like line 37? You mean can we insert multiple values of only the 2 columns? You are asking can we give values of 5 comma 33? Is this your question, Mohanraj? Why not? Why not? We can obviously do that. We can do that. Multi-row insert with multiple column insert we can do. With 2 columns insert we can do. Doesn't matter. We can do that always. It is coming with null value for name because we did not insert a null in the data set. That's the reason. Okay. So let me just mention that over here, guys, for your reference. Okay. Okay, so take this for your consideration. Update, single row update, multi-row update, single column update, multi-column update, updating the data from another table. Like update, how can we do on a table from another data sets, or from in general on a table. So I have this table with the sample3 table with or sample2 table with the data which contains null value for the name. So later the customer ID 4 is coming and telling, or 5 is coming and telling, Irfan, shopkeeper, my customer ID is 5. Can you update my name in the table? Or I'm asking my customer, hey customer ID 5. Can you give me your name? I missed to store that name earlier. So I will go and update his name. Update sample2 set the name equal to somebody called Mohan Raj, where ID equal to 5. So I'm updating one column. I'm updating one column or single row, single column I'm updating. This is going to affect only one row. This row alone getting affected when I run this query. You can see the data. It shows. Why it is not allowing? Okay, let me create a different table, guys. Okay, even that is not allowing. So the setting is made to not update for some reason in this environment. It seems safe updating. You are trying that uses a key column. Preferences, SQL editor, and reconnect. There is some preferences it's set, it seems, in our environment. Okay, let me not spend some time on this. Let it be. Okay. So I can do a single column update, multi-column update, single row update, multi-row update. Maybe I'll do it in our VM. Okay. Just to not spend time here, I'll just do a single column, single row, multi-column, multi-row update. In two updates I'll write. Okay. This is going to be an update we are performing on a single column, single row. So in the Praveen table, if you see, a table called Praveen, if you see, I have multiple rows inserted, let's assume. Customer ID 1, customer ID 2 I have. Maybe let me create another table. Table cust info. Record 1. Record 2. Record 3. I have in this table three rows, three columns. Now I want to update the data in this table. Multi-column update I want to do, multi-row update I want to do, single column update I want to do, single row update I want to do. So update, first I'm doing a single column and a single row update. Update cust info wdwe set the syntax I'm writing. Where you can find the syntax here in the PDF. Update set update, set the column name, value, column name, value, multi-column update. Where condition, if this condition meet multiple rows, then it will update multiple rows. So set column 1, that is age, only one column I am updating, to 43 age, where ID equal to 1. So this will go and update only one row, one column. The age column of this table is getting updated. Update. Update. So the data got updated into the table. There's 43, 42 got changed to 43. I want to do multi-row update. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to update whichever the age is greater than 30. I want to update all the data or all their name to uppercase. Name equal to upper of name. So I'm telling what, whoever the customer age is greater than 30, you update those customers' name into uppercase. So uppercase, you convert this name and all. Damo you convert to uppercase, ABCD you converted to uppercase. And add the age with one more value. So age equal to age plus 1. So what I'm doing here, I'm updating multiple rows, multiple columns. What is the output I'll get out of this data? It's a pretty interesting update that we are doing. Taking the data from the table and updating the data in the same table. So taking the name and I'm converting the name into uppercase and updating this value. Taking the age and adding one number to that age and updating that value. So multiple columns I'm updating, and whichever this condition is met on multiple rows, I'm updating multiple rows. Multi-row, multi-column update we are doing. So what happened? The age greater than 30 is applicable for all this data. So Irfan will be converted to uppercase and his age become 44. Damo converted to uppercase, his age become 33. ABCD converted to uppercase, his age become 32. Multi-row, multi-column update we are making. Team update we can do on single row, multi-row, single column, multi-column. You are able to understand what I'm speaking here. You are all with me in this, right? Maybe I can keep it in our notepad or in our document for your reference, but this is what we are doing. Can't we apply condition? Can't be applied for column. Column only we applied the condition. Age greater than 30 is the column level condition only we are applying, right? Lavanya, what is your question? Column level only we applied the condition. Row level means, how do you apply on a row level? Row number you can apply. But in a row, we have multiple columns. You can apply multiple columns in a row, but not row level means as such we can apply. You want to say like the row should contain all this value? You can't compare that way, right? This column age is greater than 31 means you apply. Or name is equal to ABCD means you apply a condition. Or name is equal to ABCD and age is greater than 30. You can apply two conditions in that case. Row level, there is no conditional concept. The columns in the row, multiple columns in the row, we can apply together. That is possible. That is where the Boolean or the conditional structure and all we are going to learn. Comparison operator we are going to learn. Okay, logical operator we are going to learn. AND operator, OR operator and all. I'm going to talk with you guys. Okay, in that respective topic, I'm going to talk. Then we are updating Single column, multi-column, multi-row. Single column update we are doing. Multi-column update, multi-row update we are doing. They call this as a DML operation we are performing. Insert, update, delete we are doing. Consider this as an example. We can do update from another table also. All these are the topics, right? So I'm giving you inline the queries, but I have all these queries in our query document also that I have shared in our drive. We'll go and use that. Wait for a while. Delete statement or updating the data from another table. We can say update the data from a table called custinfo wdwe. Update table name, set age equal to, I can say select max of age from another table, maybe Praveen, max of ID from Praveen, something else. I'm just taking from a different table. Where ID equal to 1. What I'm doing is I'm taking the maximum ID from Praveen. That value, whatever I taken from another table, I'm updating in this table. I'm telling a Praveen table. Can you give me what is the maximum ID you have? 2. I'm telling age of the customer info table. You get updated for ID number 1 with the maximum ID you've taken from the Praveen table. So I'm updating the data from another table to this table, which is possible even. This is a bit tricky query. We have to understand what is subquery concept to understand this concept. But fundamentally consider we have opportunity to update the data from another table to this table also. But without knowing subquery, we can't understand this 100%. But take it lightly. We can able to do this operation. After you learn what is subquery, you will get a clarity on what I'm writing here. The concept of subquery we are yet to understand. Okay, let it be. Single multi-row delete. There is no possibility of deleting single column multi-columns. Agree? I want to delete this column from a table. Is it possible? The question is, I want to delete this column called age, which contains the value 2. I want to delete this number 2 from this table. Is it possible? One thing is possible. What is possible? Great. We can do update of this age to null is possible. But deleting of this column for a given row called customer ID number 1 is not possible. The deleting of this entire column is possible. Alter table, table name, drop column name you can mention. This entire column from a table can be removed out. But a particular column value of a row can't be removed. Not possible. We can remove this entire age column or name column or ID column from a table. Possible. But I want to remove this age of 2 of Irfan, which is wrongly updated. This is not a right age of Irfan. I want to update it with null value. I want to delete this value. I can't do. But I can update this by saying what? Hey, make it as null. If I want to delete a age column from a table for a given ID, I can't do that. So I can't write a query like this. Delete from table name info wdwe, right? Of which column? ID column, or delete ID from table name. I can't mention. Select ID from table name, we can write. But delete age from table name where ID equal to 1. I can't write this query. It is telling what? Unknown table age. It is considering the delete as age. Delete table as age, not as a column. But whereas I can write the same query as select, which is possible. Select is possible, but delete is not possible on a given column alone. For this given row, I'm telling delete this age value. Not possible at all. Not possible at all. So delete is not possible on single column or multi-column, but row deletion is possible. Row deletion is possible. So what I can do, delete from table name. The syntax is delete from table name where ID equal to 1. So what I'm telling, delete this entire row with ID equal to 1. I don't want this row. I can delete the row. Column update is possible, delete row is possible. Right? Row update is not possible, delete column is not possible. Like what our friend Lavanya was asking, right? Can I update a row? I told no, row update is not possible. Columns update is possible. Here I'm talking about what? Column delete is not possible, but row update is possible. Whatever the ID value that is matching, that entire row is deleted. This entire row got deleted. This entire row got deleted from this table. Now you can see this customer table contains only 2 rows. The row number 1 got deleted. You are with me in this team, all of you? A part of DML operation we are performing. DML. So just a simple delete that I'm writing here. Delete operation. Single row, multi-row delete. Delete from another table. I can write the same query. Delete from this table where select max of ID from table name. Another table name. I can write a select delete statement like this also. I don't know the ID what I have to mention. So ID equal to select max of ID from Praveen. What is the max of ID in Praveen? That is 2. So I'm going to say delete the data from this table with ID number 2. So the ID 2 got deleted. Damo got deleted. Deleting the data from another table is possible by using subquery concept, by using join concept. That and all we are yet to discuss. Even we have a lot of other things to discuss on that aspect. Okay. I will have that discussion with you guys on our regular session further down. Okay, joins and everything we are going to learn. Take this as a fundamental understanding. You can't learn SQL in 2 days session and all. Even 2 months is not enough. But whatever we are learning is very, very important. If you know this one, subsequently whatever we are going to learn for another 6 months, you are going to get the SQL learning only. Don't worry on that. Following me what I'm speaking, you are not going to learn SQL for 2 months. 2 months is good for learning SQL, but you are not going to learn for 2 months. You are going to learn for 6 months SQL. The name of Hive, BigQuery, Spark SQL, everywhere. Synapse, Cloud SQL, Cloud Spanner, everywhere you are going to learn SQL only. But very interesting SQL you are going to learn. These are all fundamental SQL. I wanted you to definitely go and practice on this SQL queries case. Definitely I wanted you to practice on this. Not in this one alone. This one is a fundamental SQL. Forget about TCL, DCL. I'll cover that even subsequently, or very quickly I'll cover this. But not very important. This is not very important again. Very least bother you can do. Because this is not applicable in our big data platform. Transaction control, we don't do it in big data. It does not support, big data does not support transaction control. Data control is not our work. So basically, TCL will not be supported in big data platform. So least priority. Least priority. But still we know what is TCL, transaction control language. We know about what are all the types of language so far, guys. DDL, DML. We are supposed to learn TCL, DCL and DQL. DQL is a very important part of our entire learning. TCL is very fundamental. We don't require this fully to learn, but fundamentally what it is. So I will say what? Hey, set the auto commit to 0. That means what? Don't save the data immediately into the table. When I do some operations on the table, don't commit it immediately. Don't confirm it immediately. Like what I'm doing, I'm creating a file. Whatever I'm typing, immediately I'm saving this. Control S I'm putting continuously. Basically, what my SQL environment will do, it will have the auto commit on by default. It will have by default. You can see here, the auto commit is on. This auto commit is enabled. So what it is telling? Toggle auto commit mode. When enabled, each statement will be committed immediately to the database table. Whatever the query that I'm writing, the update I'm doing here, this update will be permanently happening on the data in the underlying file of our database. You remember the underlying file will be created right in the database. The data will not be staying in the memory. It will be written into the disk also in the background. If I do an auto commit on, if I have an auto commit off by mentioning 0, I toggle the auto commit to off. Now, whatever the operation I perform on the table, if I'm going to insert the data to a table by setting the auto commit off, maybe customer ID number 10 I'm inserting to the table. If you see the data of the table, the data will be showing as an output, but this data will be kept in the memory. It is not committed to the disk. It is not permanently saved to the disk. So I can manage the transactions by having the auto commit on or off. For example, some customer is adding a product in the Amazon cart. They are not finalizing the product. Like last week I spoken about it, about Book My Show example. Somebody asked in the last the question. I was explaining that. Take it very lightly. This is more applicable for the application systems, front-end application system where they are managing the back-end data seamlessly. It's even a big concept, but let's not worry too much on this. I remember I missed one of the other questions somebody asked even. Can you repost that question? Something related to backup or something. I did not read that question fully. I thought of answering that later, but I missed that. Can you repost that question, please? Whoever posted the question, I'll answer you. I did not see that question fully, but however. So if you see here, I'm going to say, hey, set the auto commit to off. Don't save the data immediately when I insert the data to the table. In the meantime, you create a transaction. Just allow me to perform the start transaction. So first I'm going to say what? Start the transaction. Inside the transaction, I'm going to load some data into the table. Then I'm going to roll back the transaction, whatever I did. Then again, I'm going to select the data from the table. It will say what? Hey, Irfan, whatever you inserted into the table, you rolled back. The data is stored in the memory, but you told what? Don't save the data permanently into the disk. You rolled back the data. So after you rolled back, this transaction is going to show you what? The data is not stored in the table permanently. You can able to see that. So what it is doing? First I'm starting the transaction, setting my auto commit to off, starting the transaction, inserting record number 11 to the table, and selecting the data from the table. It is showing me the 11 is also added in the table. In this select, it is showing me the 11 as an output. The 11 is stored in the table, but in a temporary fashion. In the memory of the table, it is loaded. In the database engine memory, the data is stored. Now, when I rolled back, what does it mean? I'm closing this sheet without saving it. When I close the sheet, what it will ask? It will ask whether you want to save it or you want to abort the saving. No means I'm telling rollback. Rollback means whatever I typed here, whatever I inserted the data into the table, you roll it back. You remove it out. I started a transaction. I did not complete it. The customer did not made the payment. So I'm going to remove that customer from my table out. So when I do rollback, the transaction is controlled. I'm starting a transaction. I'm controlling the transaction. That's the reason we are calling it as a TCL language, transaction control language. Once I rolled back, the sample 2 table is now showing how many records? Only up to record number 10. 11th record is not showing. Able to realize, guys, what I'm speaking here? The 11th record is not showing in the table because of I rolled back the transaction. But I'm going to say commit the transaction. Save it permanently. Either I can make auto commit 1. I don't have to give commit explicitly. It will be retained. But if I'm giving commit explicitly, I'm making the auto commit as off. Let me decide. It has to be committed or rolled back. I'll write some logic to decide whether it has to be committed or rolled back. So if I mention commit, right, what happens? When I start the transaction and query, insert the data to the table, and I commit means it will be permanently stored in the table. Even in the second query also, the result of 11 will be shown. So I'm going to run this query, entire queries. It is showing the 11 is inserted into the table. After committing, the 11 is retained in the table. It will be seen by all of you guys even. If you go and query this table in this database called, whatever the database we created, Inceptez training database, if you run this query in your side, you must be able to see the data, whatever I have committed. Permanently stored in our G drive, the data. You can able to see that. That is the power of commit. If I do rollback, you can't able to see the data. But I can't do rollback now because I committed it. I saved it permanently in the hard disk. I have to only delete the data if I don't want. So the transactions can be inserted, updated, or deleted. That can be permanently committed or rolled back by using the commit and rollback feature of our transaction control language. Not very important, but good to know once for all. With me or not, guys. Commit means I'm going to save the data permanently. Rollback means I'm going to revert the changes that I made on the table. Transaction control, we can control by using start transaction, auto commit on, off, and all. Okay, these are all some fundamentals of database. TCL. DCL. If you remember correctly, in our Hive learning, I just asked you guys to understand this SQL, whatever this query, right? Whatever the shell script that I created, I was talking with you guys today. We are going and performing the maybe like some operations inside this query to go and give some privileges for the user to go and access any tables or whatever we want. So the same DCL I'm doing, data control language I'm doing to say what a grant select on this table to Inceptez users. Whoever is connecting using Inceptez user, you allow those Inceptez users to go and select the data on this table. Grant select on or revoke select on this table to Inceptez, from Inceptez. I can tell like that. So give access to the Inceptez user for this table, I can tell. I can grant and revoke the privilege to the users. I can say, hey, grant a privilege of performing the select operations on this table. I can tell that to my user. Grant select on this table or revoke select for all the people in our system who is using Inceptez user. Revoke select on this table from Inceptez or Inceptez or from Inceptez. Revoke from Inceptez. Revoke from Inceptez or grant to Inceptez. I can do that. Okay. So if you give auto commit equal to 1, what will happen? The data, whatever I'm inserting or updating, deleting will be automatically committed into the table. If you don't give auto commit 1, you got to explicitly give the commit. You are default putting automatically every transaction has to be committed, or you wanted to commit each and every time whenever you want, or you wanted to roll back. You have option to roll back or commit. If you make the auto commit as off, that means 0. You are with me, Mohan Raj? Okay. Fine. So what is the question in between? Somebody asked Damodaran. One doubt, in a real time, if you want to take backup of any table, that will do by DBA developer. Mostly by DBA for taking a fault tolerance backup and all. They will do cold backup, hot backup, right? Like these kind of activities, the DBS will do basically. Live backup or offline backup, they will do. Or automatically, our system is designed in such a way to do the backup. Like if you go to our cloud platform and all, the cloud provider will ask, our GCP will ask, do you want me to take the backup of the database while this database is running like this? The GCP itself will ask me. Those options and all we have, I'll talk about it later. That's a DBS work basically. Okay, or our cloud providers work. But we can also take the backup of a table if we are going to do some sort of delete operation. For example, I'm having a table with duplicate data loaded for some reason in my business. I want to delete the duplicate data from the table. I can't directly go and delete the data from the table. I'll take a backup of our existing table for a safer side. Then I'll delete the data from the table, verify whether the data is properly deleted or properly managed or not. Then I will go and remove my backup table later. But for a safer side, I'll take a backup table even as a developer, not only by an administrator. But administrator mostly will do that. Developer will do on and off. Okay. Guys, we are on top of the hour. What we'll do, we'll go for a break, right? We'll resume back at 7:15 p.m. IST, guys. Okay, we'll have the session till 8:30. I'm going to cover DQL, which is very important. Plan to attend accordingly. Okay, the DQL is the one we are going to enter next part of our learning. I need to cover minimum the fundamental queries. This one. So let's go on deal about it after the break. Okay, 7:15 we'll resume back. I guess I'm back. Okay, so let's continue. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, so what I would like to do in this last 1 hour, right? Or 1 hour or 1 hour and 15 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever the time you're going to spend now. Can you also practice with me on what I'm going to do? For that, I wanted you guys first to understand what I'm showing you, and I wanted you guys also to practice. What is it, You can go to our cloud store, I mean, like whatever the G drive, right? Download this practice queries. First thing is download this DDL and DML generations.txt file or .sql file or whatever, right? Can you guys download this file and open this file? Open this file and modify this database learning as something else called maybe Irfan underscore learning. Any name you can give for the database, but you give your unique name. So you will have your own database, your own set of tables created to play around with that tables and all. It won't affect the others and you won't affect others and they don't affect yours. Are you with me, team, what I'm speaking here? Can you guys go and download this DDL DML data generation script and rename this database name as Irfan Learning, Venkatraman Learning, Damo Learning, or whatever. Or already you have some database created, means use the database name. I am not stopping you. Replace all this database in that name. Two places I'm using this database name. Irfan Learning, Irfan Learning. So create database Irfan Learning. Use Irfan Learning. Create table departments. Create table employees. Load the data into the department table. The department table comprised of department ID, department name, manager ID, location ID. Basically, this table structure is a Oracle database table example that I have taken here because the best tables to learn SQL is employees and departments in general. The best database table, if you take and learn how to work in SQL, the best tables are employees department table. HR employees, HR departments. HR is maintaining these two tables, let's assume, of your organization. HR is maintaining all the employees information. HR is maintaining all the departments in the organization we have. In two tables they are maintaining. They are creating HR learning database or Irfan HR learning. Irfan HR learning is a database I am creating. It's a HR database, let's assume. I'm going to create a database. I'm going to go to the database. I'm going to create departments table, employees table. Departments comprised of department ID, department name, manager ID, location ID. And the employee table contains employee ID, first name, last name, email ID of the employee, phone number, hire date, job ID, salary, the commission that we are giving to employee for their or bonus that we are giving to the employee, and who is they are reporting to, which department they are working for. Then I'm creating administration department, marketing department, purchase, HR, shipping, IT, public resources, or whatever public relation. Different departments information I'm creating. Whatever my business is doing, all the departments I'm storing into a department table. Then all my employees information, employee ID, employee name, first name, last name, all the information I'm creating. What is the date of joining or date of birth? Maybe the date of hire date, when these employees have joined. What is the phone number of the employee, email ID of the employee, everything I'm maintaining in the employee table. Email ID, phone number, at the rate of whatever the company name.com, you can consider the Gmail ID, which is not having the domain name, but that is okay. It is default understandable as at the rate of the company name.com, Inceptez.com. So this employee belongs to which department? IT programming is the development what he do, and what is the department ID he belongs to? What is the salary he is getting? And all the information I'm keeping for this employee, the department ID, who is the manager he is reporting to, what is the commission percentage he got, what is the salary he is getting. So this entire database, the tables we are creating now. This is what type of operation we are doing? What type of operation we are doing? Yeah, DDL. First we are doing some DDL. Then we are doing what operation here? In this SQL, we are doing DML. DML of inserting the data to the employees table and the department table. Then I'm creating one more set of table. Maybe I did not include that here. We will include that. So these two set of tables we are databases and the tables we are creating with the DML and DDL performed. Copy this entire content after renaming this database name as whatever your name learning, and copy this entire content and put it into our SQL Workbench, creating one new query tab. Go and choose all of them and run this. Take your cursor to the top, choose all of them and execute the selected portion of the script. Entire portion of the script I want to execute. So it is creating the tables, loading the data of the department and the employees. We are doing DDL and DML operation, very first activity. This employees table will be keep added with more employees on a daily basis by the HR department. Whenever new employees are joining a company, they will add the employee table with more inserted data set. Completed the first SQL query operation. You all did that. You are all doing that. Please do that. Okay, do that. Only don't forget to change the name of the database. Second activity. Download the 2_DQL queries 1.txt. 3_DQL queries 2.txt we download later. The DQL queries we are downloading, we are going to learn about the data query language. So the data query language comprised of lot of things. We are going to do a lot of transformational and analytical functionalities in Hive and other platforms soon. But fundamental understanding you need to have. How to select all or single or multiple columns from a table with or without alias. I'm going to talk right now with you guys. So I wanted you to understand about how to go and select the data from the table. That is DQL. Data query language means selecting the data from the table. If you do, then that is DQL. That is DQL. How to write a DQL query to select the data from a table. So let's select the data from the table called employees. Select or use database name called Irfan_learning. I entered into the database called Irfan_learning. Now I'm going to select the data from the departments table. Select star from departments. It is showing me the data pertaining to the departments table. We have a couple of department records available in the table. It is telling 24 rows or 27 rows selected. Okay. This is all about the DQL. I'm doing a DQL operation of selecting the data from a table, all columns from the table. I want to select only the department ID column and the department name column from the table. So choosing one column or multiple columns from the table, we can do. That is what I'm just trying to convey here. So single or multiple column selection. Selecting the column with alias. I'm not finding using the department ID as a name here. I'm not finding it is well and good to use the department ID as a column name here. I want to use the column name called DID. I want to use the column name called DName. So I can use alias for that. Alias means an alternative name for a given column. We can give a alias name. We can give a alternative name by using as column name, or without as using the as keyword, it works as well. As is optional. Select department ID as did. Department name as DName. We can mention as or don't have to mention as. Both are good. Now you can find the column name shown as what? DID DName. In a simple format, in a simplified format, you can see the data. When do you use this alias in general? If I'm going to apply upper of department name, the column name looks not familiar for me, looks not appealing for me. It will show the column name as upper of department name. I don't like to see the column name as upper of department name. So I'll mention as what D name simply. The purpose of alias you are able to understand. When do you go with alias you are able to understand? If I don't want to see the column name as is in the table, it's very big. I want to make it simple. I'll go with alias name, an alternative name. Right? Table contains a column name as department name, but I am representing that as D name. Following me, team? With me? How do we select the data from a table? One or multiple columns, with or without alias? This part of understanding. The part of understanding what we are doing here. Okay. D name is not necessary. Yes, not necessary. Alias is not necessary. If you give, it will be more better to realize the data. Otherwise, it is hard for you to understand upper of department name. If I give trim of, upper of, right, concat of, some functions, if I write like this, like this, if I write a query, write a query like this. Do you feel comfortable to see the column name like this, Mohan Raj? Is it looking good? Or if I give D name, it is more better to give. DID means department ID. D name means department name. D name looks more preferable, right, to give. That's what I'm doing. Okay, let's not worry about all this. Let's not worry about all this. With me, Mohan Raj, all of you. So the alias name has lot of feature we have, but I'm just talking about what is an alias name. What is the feature of this alias name? We will learn later, subsequently. Is it mandatory? Not mandatory. Is using as is mandatory? Not mandatory. You can use as DID or just DID or just DName works. Let's not analyze this. Let's understand this. We'll analyze it later. Okay, we can use alias. That's what you have to consider for now. Okay, so just try giving an alias for a columns that you are choosing. I can ping you the query then and there in our chat also. Make use of this if you could not able to write off your own. It's okay. Filter the data. What I can do? I can go and say where department ID is greater than 10, greater than 30. Department ID is greater than 30. I can write a filter. So I can go with the filtering of rows based on the column value by using where clause. The concentration is where clause. The concentration is alias name. Concentration is towards alias in this first query. In the second query, filter is our concentration. Where class is our concentration. Following me, guys, what I'm speaking? These are all DQLs. Even this is a DQL. We are going to use operators. Arithmetic operator, comparison operator, logical operator, right? Like lot of operator types are there. Let's use some operators here. What are the operators we have? Arithmetic operator, logical, comparison. These three operators let's consider. Arithmetic operator means what? When I'm going to perform some operations on the data, so what is the data I have in the departments table? Select star from, or let's take employee table. Let's select star from employees. I have employee data in my table. I'm going to do some arithmetic operation. Select star from employees where commission percentage is not null. What is not null? I'll talk with you guys. For now, let's not worry. I'm taking some data where the commission percentage is not null. There is no data with commission percentage not null. Everything is having null value only, it seems. So let's do one thing. We'll go and update this table. Set commission percentage equal to maybe 0.10, where salary is greater than 20,000 rupees. So whoever is getting the salary greater than 20,000 rupees, I'm giving them a commission percentage blindly 10%. 10% hike I'm giving for the employees who got the salary more than 20,000 rupees. Okay, very minimal people got 20,000, maybe 15,000 rupees people. Only for the management people, I'm giving some percentage for their achievement. Let's assume. You guys can do this operation in your query also. I wanted to show you how to do arithmetic operation, logical operation, comparison operation like that and all. So this commission percentage we are updating. Update is not allowing us to do, right? Update is a problem what we have in this environment. Maybe I'll check on this. Let it be. No worries. Okay, let it be. Leave that. Let's see. Let's use some other strategy. So, what are all the operators that we have available? Comparison operator, arithmetic operator. What is arithmetic operator? I'm going to choose employee ID, salary, comma, bonus applied salary. That is salary plus maybe like 1,000 rupees I'm giving for every employee as a year-end bonus. So mentioning this with an alias is more better, right? Sal or bonus sal, bonus applied sal. Like this, I'm giving a column name. So what operation we are performing here? Arithmetic operation, addition operation, subtraction, multiplication, division, whatever we can do. So the salary is 24,000. After applying bonus, it becomes 25,000. This is arithmetic operation. Comparison operation, where I'm going to write where department is equal to, or department underscore ID is equal to maybe the employees from the department ID. Different department I'm just taking into consideration. Whichever the department ID is belonging to the HR people. For those people alone, I'm giving 1,000 rupees bonus. I'm not giving the bonus for every employee. Only the HR employees alone, HR department employees alone, I'm going to give the bonus. Or for the IT people alone, I'm giving the bonus. So whatever the operation I'm doing here is arithmetic operation. I'm using an operator called plus operator, arithmetic operator. And I'm using an equal to operator, which is a comparison operator, to perform some operation on the query. So I'm doing what sort of learning here is, what is operators, operator types, where plus is arithmetic and equal to is comparison, and or not is logical operator. This operator learning we do heavily in Python and all later, but just as a fundamental concept. I'm using what are the types of operators in my query, in my DQL. Arithmetic operator. Arithmetic operator means I can do plus, minus, multiplication, division, modulo function, or anything I can do. Then comparison operator. I'm comparing department ID is equal to 60. Those data alone I wanted to take for consideration. And not only the department ID is 60, and salary is greater than, whoever is getting the salary greater than 4,800. I want to take only this data into consideration. So I'm doing one more operator called what? Arithmetic operator, logical operator also. That is and. And is a logical operator. So you can see here, there are different types of operators we have. Some operators I have mentioned here. You can see here some operators I have mentioned here. Comparison operator, logical operator, arithmetic operator also we have. Arithmetic operator is one what we used in addition. Operators types we have in SQL. So what operator we are using here? Arithmetic operator, comparison operator, and logical operator. And is a logical operator. You are putting a logic. Department ID should be 60 and salary should be more than 4,800. Show me only those data. So what it will do? Our salary should be more than 4,200 or 4,800. So it will return how many records now? Out of 24 records we have overall in my, or out of overall multiple records, multiple employees we have in our table. How many records it is going to return ultimately in this query? Out of 31, it is going to return only 2 records as an output. As per the data what we have, only it is going to produce me 2 records as an output. Because only the 2 records are matching, the department ID 60 and the amount salary greater than 4,800. Department ID 60 alone, it is returning how many records? First, the query will filter only the department ID 60 data. Department ID 60 data. Department ID 60 contains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 records. But in that, since I gave amount greater than 4,800, it is removing this record from the output in the second query. See, because I add an AND operator. Now if I go and change this as an OR operator, OR is a logical operator. What it will do, either or it will go and check. Department 60 data you bring, or salary greater than 4,800 you bring. So this time it will bring how many records? If I use OR operator, it will bring more records or less records. It will bring more record. We don't know how many record it is going to bring. Not 5 definitely. It is going to be more than 5. Because or I put either department ID 60 or salary is greater than 4,800. Not both. You bring the data from other departments also. I don't bother. Whoever is getting salary more than 4,800, give them the 1,000 rupees bonus. Whoever is not in the department 60 also you give. If anybody you find in 60 department ID 60, for all of them you give the bonus added. Regardless whether they are getting 4,800 rupees or less salary or more salary, I don't bother. Whoever is from the department 60, you give them blindly closing your eyes 1,000 rupees bonus. All IT employees. And rest of all departments, you give who is getting more than 4,800 rupees salary, only for those people you give the bonus. Like this I'm telling in this query. So it has a big meaning behind to understand. It has a rationale behind to understand. So what we are seeing here, whoever is getting even 4,800 rupees also are getting the bonus. 4,200 is also getting the bonus. And all the other people, whoever is getting less, more than 4,800 alone getting bonus in other departments and all. So if I go and give the department ID also here, you will get a better clarity. Department underscore ID. You get a better clarity. So you're able to understand different types of operators we have. In this one query, I'm using what types of operators? Comparison operator, arithmetic operator, logical operator, logical OR operator, AND operator we can use. We'll be learning about these operators more in detail later, but just fundamentally, I'm just covering this to an extent for you. With me in this team or not? We are mainly concentrating on the bolded content, whatever I bolded here. Right? What are the bolded content I have here? Only the bolded content you consider. Okay, you are all good in this. Some special operators we have in SQL, pretty interesting operators. Like, in, between, these operators are all pretty interesting operators. So I'm going to say, hey, whichever the data from the employee table I have, I want to select only the data that is like the name, like maybe like name that like Alex, or name that has EX in it. Lex, Alex, everybody will be selected. I want to choose the data from the employee table. Whoever is having EX in their name, X in their name, EX. So where first name like percentage EX, I'll type like this. Pattern matching I'm doing. Anywhere in the left or right, whatever the content is there, I don't bother. But some content should be in the name, should have EX in it. Any name that has EX in it, please display those names. This is like operator. Like will help us do pattern matching. Alex, Lex, Alexander, everybody are being shown here as an output. What is like? You are able to understand, guys. Like is nothing but likely. This data likely to be like this. In operator we have. In operator represents what? The maybe like job ID in of, I'm going to tell maybe like job ID like IT programmer, job ID in IT programmer, who are all belonging to the IT programmers, who are all belonging to the PU clerk. Bring me all those data. So I'm not going to put a condition saying job ID equal to IT programmer. If I put equal to, I can give only one value. If I put in, I can give multiple values in it. Even this is also an operator that we can use called in operator, like operator, in operator. So in operator will help us give multiple values in the condition. Equal to operator will give you, assignment operator will give you only one condition. Or the number greater than we can give in the greater than symbol or less than symbol. But if I want to particularly check for some values with multiple values, whichever is matching, then I have to use in operator. In this multiple values you have to use. Following team what I'm speaking. SQL supports mainly the like operator, in operator. Very, very interesting operators that we have. And what other operator we have? Between operator, between and operator. We used to call it as between and operator. Between and. People used to call it as between and operators. What is a between and says? Select start from the employee table where salary between 9,000 or between 5,000 and 9,000, which includes that value as well. whichever the employee is getting salary of 5,000 and in the range of 9,000, the range of values between 5,000 and 9,000. This is a syntax. Between and we used to tell, between and. Whichever the employee is getting salary of 5,000 to 9,000, bring all the data. It includes 5,000, it includes 9,000 also. So the employees who are all getting 5,000, above 5,000, up to 9,000. It includes 5,000 also. And I'm telling 4,800 to 9,000. So it includes 4,800 also on display, the output. The employees who are all getting 4,800 up to 9,000. Tim, I'm quickly going here, I know. Did you understand? Anybody don't understand, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm considering our time and I'm going a bit quickly here. But did you understand this? The operators, what I'm speaking here, very important to understand. And or not, and or, at least I covered, not I'll cover later, don't worry. You're all with me in this operators, right? Important for your SQL understanding. Thanks, guys, for your response. Okay. Sorting and distinct and aggregation. Very, very important concept in the SQL environment. Distinct usage of distinct usage of sorting, usage of aggregation in a SQL query. So we are writing select start from table name where condition we are writing so far. We are going to add some more classes in the data. Okay. Numbers basically we don't use like. Okay. If you want to use like on the numbers, we have to convert that number into string and you can apply the like. We call it as a casting or we call it as a type conversion. Maybe do I have the type conversion over here? I don't have. Maybe I'll show the type conversion over here. What is type conversion? Or type casting, we used to call it as. It's a bit costly concept, but let it be. It's okay. So to answer your question, right, Suresh, there are some implicit conversion happens by the database itself. If you use on a column like the number and all, salary like, I put 0%. That means what do you mean here? Do you have a real value on this if I put like this? Or 8%? 8%. So any number that has 8 in it, you go and show those numbers. Is it having any, it is making any value, Suresh? In our learning, in our entire query? No, right? But still, if you want to do that, right? Doing this way is not bringing any value, right? But it is bringing all the 8s that is coming out. This is doing an implicit conversion of the data on the number data type, but it won't work in every query. In MySQL, it is working. But for a safer side, what we do in every query, every environment, if we have to work, we have to do casting. We have to do casting means you have to convert the data type from the salary is in a integer data type in our table while we created today. You see here, the table contains salary as integer data type. But I'm going to convert the salary as string. Then I do like operation or salary as varchar data type, and when I do the like operation on it, when I do a like operation on it, then it is telling what yes, Irfan, I support like operation or char data type I'm converting. This will ensure I'm definitely converting this data to a string data, not number data. Then putting this like operation is meaningful. But for performing some operations like and all on the number data, you do rather range operator, greater than, less than, between and those kind of operators you can use. Following me, Suresh? But you can do typecasting and perform this operation for a foolproof outcome. Because the one what you asked will work in MySQL, but not in every databases. It asks saying like, hey, the like operator will only work on the string data type, not on the number data type. Okay, take it in that way, likely. Okay, so Distinct and sorting. What is distinct? Distinct means what, guys? It is a mere English, right? Distinct represents what? I'm going to have a unique value. Okay. I want to know what are all the job IDs uniquely available in this table. There are different customers I have, different employees I have. Overall, how many distinct job IDs that I have in my table? I want to know that. So what I'll do, I'll go and say select distinct job underscore ID from employees. Or in the employee table, in the department ID of department underscore ID of 60, IT department, IT 60, right? How many job IDs are available? IT programmer, IT consultant, or whatever the job ID that is available, I want to see. The overall table, how many job IDs are there? Or only in this department table alone, how many job IDs are there? I want to know. So we have only one job ID in this department. I'm able to understand. Okay, the entire table, how many job IDs are there? If I want to know, unique job IDs are there. I want to know. AD Press, AD VP, or IT programmer, FI manager, FI accountant, or whatever I have. I want to know how many number of employees or how many number of job IDs I have in this table. I'll put a count function on top of, this is called the aggregation function. Count on top of this distinct value will give me what? Will give me the distinct job ID first as an output. On top of that, it will run a count program to count how many number of distinct job IDs I have in my employee table. Overall, I have 9 distinct job IDs in my table. Like this, it is showing me the count. So we are doing what? Distinct and aggregation we are doing. We are doing only the distinct job ID identification, or we can do distinct job ID sorted based on the job ID order by the first column. In some databases, the order by 1 will work. Some databases, it won't work. It works differently. So I'm telling what order the data based on the first column. I'm telling what I'm choosing in this distinct output. So it is sorting the data based on the ascending order, or I want to say order by descending. I'll mention DESC, or I'll mention ASC. ASC means ascending. By default, ASC will be happening. Or if I mention DESC, the data will be sorted in an descending order. So ST man will come in the top, the A will come in the bottom. ABCD will be doing a reverse sorting. So I'm going to have multiple columns applied with the distinct job ID, comma, department ID. I can add multiple columns in the distinct as well, possible. But I want to sort based on 1 column output. Or department ID wise, job ID I want to sort, or I wanted to give. So here 1 represent column position. Column position, Suresh. If I say one descending, what it is doing, it is sorting based on the descending order of the job ID earlier. This time I changed department ID as a first column, then job ID. So the department ID will be first sorted. It will show first 30, then 50, then 60, then 90, then 100. This time it is going to show in that way. It won't sort based on the second column. In 100, we have FI account, FI manager. In 90, add press, add VP. In 50, ST clerk, man, clerk again is coming, or what are the values coming. So I can do a sorting based on the column number 1 in a descending order, column number 2 in an ascending order also. Like this, you can mention multiple column I want to sort as well. Distinct applied to multiple columns combinedly. Yes, true. Let me show you this, the purpose of distinct. It's not only for identifying the Unique values. If we don't use distinct, right, Tamim, it will be displaying all the data pertaining to the same department and same job ID. Same job ID. You see here multiple times it is occurring. I want to say the combination of these two columns has to occur only once. That is what you are asking as a question. Multiple columns, the distinct is applied, or only for the first column it is applying. It is applied for all the columns. So together this department ID and the job ID should be unique. Composite distinct we are applying. Multiple columns it is applying the distinct. Though I give the distinct one time, it is applying the distinct of these two column values together. Got it, Tamim?
Yes, Irfan, but it is not distinct, right? But the repeating, right? For job
because I did not use the distinct, I deleted this distinct and ran the query. Now I apply the distinct and running the query. You can't combinedly find it is repeating anywhere. 100 with this job ID is not repeating. 100 with the FI manager is not repeating. 100 alone may be repeating. Because with the combination it won't repeat.
Okay.
So you think like this. I have a data like this in an Excel sheet. I have a data like this in an Excel sheet. I'm telling, hey guys, I wanted to see FI maybe like audit. Like this, I have some data. In my department number 100, we have this 4 employees working in this 2 designation each. Now I want to say, I wanted to display the distinct department number alone. If I mention in my query, what it will display? If I say select distinct department number from the table, it will go and only identify the deduplicated data of this column alone. Tamim, I'll go and say what? I'll go and say, or I'll go and apply the distinct data, remove duplicates on this column, right? It will do what? Just remove the duplicate of the H column alone, I'm telling. So it is returning what? Only one record. 100 as only one value it is returning. But whereas if I say combine these two data sets and perform the remove duplicates, it will return how many rows? If I do it for both the columns, the distinct.
2 rows.
2 rows with 100 repeating twice, but it doesn't mean 100 is duplicated. 100 along with this is not duplicated. 100 along with the second column is not duplicated. Both options you have available. You got the point? Tamim, you got it?
I got it.
Yeah. So your question is why 100 is repeating twice? No, 100 alone is not repeating twice. Along with the job ID, it is repeating. That is correct. So distinct is applied on all the columns as per your question. Okay. Sorting, you can do one column in one order, another column in another order. So I'm telling, sort based on the department ID in an ascending order. Sort the job ID in a descending order. I can do that way also. Right? So department ID of 30 is coming, but PU clerk is coming in the descending order of sorting. We can do the distinct on one column, multiple columns, sorting on one column, multiple column, using position, using column name even. You can do positional sorting or column name based sorting. Both are good. Both are good. Both are correct. You can use position, the second position, whatever you can mention. You can mention 2 first and 1 second also. That is also you can do. And we are performing what? The aggregation function on top of the data. We wanted to know how many distinct job IDs I have. As a use case, you can consider. This all has lot of interview questions, guys. This fundamental thing, what you're understanding here, right, has lot of interesting and very important interview related questions available here. You can get that in an interview discussion that we do later, okay, with respect to SQL. But this fundamental is needed for you to understand. You are with me? Distinct and sorting. Aggregation. Aggregation has multiple functionalities that is available to perform aggregation. We can do count. We can do max, min, average, mean, mode, variance, everything we can do in terms of aggregation. I have employee data, right? If I ask you a question, guys, tell me how many number of employees are available in my system. How many employees are working in my company? I want to know that. How to get rest of the columns associated with the distinct column? I'm not getting your question, Suresh, very clearly.
When we use distinct, we use two columns, department ID and job ID value. But I want to get the entire value of.
There is a huge static in your side, Suresh. Very huge noise is coming in the background.
Sorry, Irfan. Am I audible now?
Now it is good, yeah.
Yeah, okay. When you use distinct with two columns, it shows two column values. But if I want to get all the rest of the columns along with the the given 10 rows, how I can get it?
See, if you want to get that way, then you have to use subquery concept to get the data. Okay, but the problem is if you add more columns, it will not show the distinct value. Whatever the other value that is changing in the other column, it will show the sparse value. You can add other columns in the distinct in this query, but you can't get this one alone distinct and those values and all in a not distinct fashion, because it will say you have to put every columns in the distinct. Then if that is the case, for example, like this only I'm asking, you have this employees working. One employee is getting 10,000 as a salary. Another employee is getting 20,000. Another employee is getting 30,000. Another employee is getting 40,000. If you are going to say select distinct employee department ID, job ID, and the salary, like this, if you write, okay, it will produce how many records in this case? 4 records. In this case, how many records it will produce?
3.
You are able to understand? But you want to say, yeah, I want to take all the distinct department and the department ID and the job ID and whatever the data pertaining to the department ID and the job ID I want to get from a table. If you ask that way, then we have to write it as a subquery, multi-column subquery. We have to write that part. We are yet to go. Okay, got it. Okay. So any question you can ask, we can get the result, but we have to use the respective class. The usage of class is a challenge here. It's a tricky part here. Okay, if you take SQL as an interesting learning, guys, right? You can do a lot of interesting things, like a game if you play with SQL. Okay, fine, let it be. That will improve our logical thinking. It's not like we have to be a born logical thinker. If you use the SQL and all efficiently or any programming efficiently, your logical thinking will be improved. Okay, let it be. We'll deal about it. So I just wanted to get how many number of employees are available in my total data set, in my total table. I'll give select count of distinct employee ID for a safer side. I know the employee ID does not have duplicate, let's assume, but still I'll give a distinct employee ID, or just I'll give an employee ID. If I know very sure this employee ID does not have a duplicate, then I'll just give select count of employee ID, or select count of star I'll give, or select count of 1 I will give. Right? I want to get the total number of employees present in my employees table. What I do, the key column, if I'm going to apply a query, right? I don't have to give the column name. I can give star also, it works, or 1 also it works, or employee ID also it works. 1 means what? Is a question that I'm asking to you. Anybody have an idea about if I use count of 1, what will happen? Number of people use count of 1. Count of 1 is not first column, actually speaking. I told the 1 means it is taking, or 2 means it is taking the first column, second column. But in the case of count of 1, what it will happen? Let me ask you this question, you answer me. First, you will get the answer for the other question what I asked you. Just to take this example, I'm putting not select count of 1. I'm just putting select 1 from table name. What will be the response I'll get for this? If I get the employee ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to whatever the number that we have, then whatever you told is correct. But actually what it will be showing as an output, as Mayavan is telling, The 1 will be repeatedly showing 37 times or whatever the times the number of records I have in the table. So the 1 is repeated how many times? 31 times it repeated. That represents what? The 1, if I select from a table or whatever I give here in my table, on top of the table, it will be repeating that Irfan that many number of times the row present in the table. Irfan will be printed once for the first record. Irfan will be printed second for the second record. I am telling what, hey, I want to count the total number of employees present in the table. So count 1, repeat 1 for every row. Don't bring all the row from the table and put it in the memory. Unnecessarily don't count that many number of rows. The entire row of data don't count. Just count 1. Return 1 multiple times. How many number of times the employee table contains the 1? How many records the employee table contains? That many times you repeat the 1. Then you count how many number of ones are there. This is improved in performance. The performance is improved drastically on this if I do. Team, what I'm speaking, you are able to understand. Rather than if I give the employee ID or rather than I give star, if I give 1, the performance is improved a lot. Some nitty-gritty in the database that we use. So if you ask me, I write always count of 1 from a table anytime when I write a query. But you are doubting the employee ID may repeat in the table. Repeat in a table. Then what you do? You give distinct, not 1. You give distinct employee ID only. You don't have an option to give other than distinct employee ID, but it's a costly query to use. It will take all the employee ID from the table. It will deduplicate the employee ID. If we have any duplicates, then it will count. Costly operation. Both 1 and star are same. Right? Suresh, you answer me. If I put star, what it is repeating to me? Every row of the data is repeating. If I put 1, what it is returning to me? 1 returning in the place of the data. Counting this 1 is so easy by keeping in my memory, or bringing all the data to my memory and counting is more easy. Suresh, you tell me. Suresh, you tell me. Then both are same or different? Both are returning the same result, but which one is more better to use is the question here. Result wise, you get the same result. Very clear what I'm speaking? Right? So take 1 and count. That is what the understanding. So you are understanding 2 things. If I select some dummy value from a table, if I don't give the column here, if I'm giving some dummy value like Inceptez I'm giving, it will return Inceptez multiple times as per the number of records the table contains. Basically, the select statement, whatever I'm writing, will run a query in the background, a for loop in the background. What is for loop? We talk about it later. But for loop in the background, a loop in the background. For every record the table is returning, it will print Inceptez. Rather than bringing the record to the memory, it will bring Inceptez to the memory. So relatively, bringing Inceptez is less costlier than bringing the entire record with 100 bytes, 200 bytes. And counting Inceptez is easier than counting each and every row. But I wanted to get the particular employee numbers available in the table counted, distinct employee numbers I want to count. In that case, what I'll do, I'll not go with the distinct one, I'll give distinct employee ID literally. So it has a difference. Okay. Okay. So select of or count of 1 you can do to count the number of employees present in the table. I want to calculate what is the total sum of salary my employees are getting. Total salary my employees are getting. So I use an aggregation function called sum function. Sum of salary. It will give me the total sum of salary that my employees are getting. Right? What is the average salary my employees are getting? There are a lot of functions that is available. right? What is the average salary? 6,977. Average I'm giving to every employee. But overall salary is something different. Like this, we have a lot of aggregation functions available. Sum, average, mean, mode, variance, standard deviation, min, max. What is the minimum salary I'm giving to my employee? What is the maximum salary I'm giving to my employee? Max. What is the minimum salary? What is the maximum salary? I want to get both minimum and maximum salary in a same state query. Can I get? Is it possible or not? Both I want to get in a same query. I want to display the minimum salary, maximum salary, and the department also. Every department ID wise, the minimum and maximum salary I want to display. Is it possible to run? First, I'm running with two aggregation function in a single select statement. Possible. But multiple aggregation functions column and a non-aggregated column if I'm running in a SQL query, which is not possible to run. So I got to use definitely a group by function as you guys are mentioning. I'm going to tell group the data based on department ID. So every department wise, what is the minimum salary, maximum salary? I want to know. Very important part of our learning, this one. We'll be slowly learning this, don't worry. Every department wise, what is the min max salary? Entirely in my entire departments, I don't bother. In my entire database table, in my entire employees table, what is the min max salary I want to calculate? Okay, but this part I'm yet to talk with you guys in detail. So when you write a complete SQL query, it may comprise of all this. So aggregation function we are talking about, count, sum, average, minimum, maximum, group by what we are discussing. Group by how the syntax has to be. But the entire query, if you are going to write, it may be having all the classes such as what I mentioned here. If you say, I know the DQL to a better extent, then you have to know how to write all these classes, minimum. Select, you know, from, you know, join we did not see yet, where we know, group by we know to an extent by now, having we don't know, order by we know to an extent, limit we know. Limit, how do we know? I'm going to say, hey, an interview question. Guys, can you tell me the top 3 salary getting employees I want to list? It's an interview question. We call it as top N analysis. Top 3 salaried employees of our company I wanted to see. So select star from employees ordered by salary descending. Limit 3 I mentioned. Interview question. Simple interview question. But people don't answer this. So it is going to order all the employees information, but limit only the top 3. So it is showing me these 3 employees are the highest paid employees of the organization. If I don't have the limit mentioned, it will display all the employees information. Then the person who is querying has to limit with 3 or 5 or whatever the record he wanted to see. I can go and see 5 top employees, 7 top employees, but I'm telling what a limit with 3 only. I want to see only 3 records, top 3 records. So I'm ordering the data based on salary in a descending order, seeing only the top 3 records. Limit 3. I'm just doing. Importance of limit. Okay, so let's go to our topic back. What is the topic we are into? Let's stay on the topic. Aggregation function. Aggregation function. Total number of employees. I'll just put the column name here. Total employees in my company is how much? Total salary of employees in my company. Average salary of my employees in my company. You're able to understand slowly what is the purpose of alias even? Minimum salary, maximum salary of my employees in my company. What is the department wise? Department wise. Minimum and the maximum salary of my employees. Employees. Department wise, not in my company. Each and every department wise, what is the min-max salary? So I'm grouping based on department. Or we group those 3 employees alone using group by? If you want, you can do that. You take this only 3 employees and I want to get the min-max data on that or group the data on that, you can do that, Suresh. But I'm just showing you, I'm not grouping here. I'm just doing a sorting based on the salary in a descending order. Then limiting only the top 3 employees to display. I'm not getting your question if you're asking me. Just what I'm doing is let me go to the Excel to make you understand this. I want to know the top 3 employees, top 3 salary getting employees of my company, of any department. I don't bother any designation they are into. IT developer. Top 3 salary getting employees, I want to know. What I'll do, I'll go and choose this data. I'll go and sort this data. I'll go and sort this data based on which column? The salary column. Largest to the smallest, descending. Then I'll choose only the top 3 records. Limit only the top 3 records in the output I'm telling. You understood, Suresh, what we did?
Yes, Irfan.
Right? It's a pretty direct, the same Excel sheet thing what we are doing in a English language, writing in SQL query format. Very clear? Right? You guys sit and slowly try to learn this. Definitely you'll get a clarity. Right? Are you guys thinking one thing? Hey, how Irfan is typing all these queries just on the fly. How some of the friends are saying like this is the query what you have to type for getting this output. Are you guys thinking about that? Did you guys ever get that thinking? Tell me guys, did you guys ever get that thinking? Yes, right? Did you think one more thing on top of that? How much Irfan or how much the others who are putting the effort of answering this have put an effort? Experience is different from effort. Experience is different from effort, putting the effort or putting the practice. Definitely, I am not a born talent. I'm a less than an average talented person in the market. I'm not even above the average talented person in the market. I'm less than the average talented person in the market. But the effort help us definitely. Luck will not help us. I told an example today afternoon, right in the Hive session, guys. When somebody asked a question, I told a story behind. I was missing 3 interviews in the same road of Chennai, the same Nugambakam High Road and the Cathedral Road. I missed 3 opportunities in 3 different companies. I was showing to my kids and wife, telling like, hey, you know, this company I missed the opportunities because I'm not a talented, but I put a hard effort to obviously get it. So just put that effort, guys. I'm not telling about myself. There are a lot of people are here. Put the effort. Effort will not leave you at any point of time. Definitely that will hold your hand for sure in your lifetime. So take this as an opportunity. So if you want to try this, just I'm capturing the content. Why? Because you have to try this. That's the reason. Okay. So please practice on this. Please try this. Definitely you'll get, try it with the challenging. Try it with an Excel sheet. Go to Excel sheet, learn Excel, learn SQL also, both at the same time. Help you a lot actually. Okay, fine. So distinct sorting, aggregation. Let's capture all this. But group by I'm not interested in speaking right now. It is okay. You don't have to worry on the group by right now. Right? Group by is still we have to learn. But consider this aggregation for now at least. Let's not worry about the group by for now. Built-in functions. So that is the next part. I'm going here with the next part. All this part is completed now. Built-in functions. What is built-in functions? We'll complete in another 5 minutes, okay? Just in another 5 minutes we'll complete. I'll put one more topic here. After that, I'll complete the discussion right now what we have. However, we could get an opportunity to learn the other part in our subsequent learning in Hive or in any of the other learnings that we are going to do. So I'll complete with this one. Complete SQL classes in one query. Let's go and finish with this today. I'll take you guys to joins, set operators, analytical functions, and all subsequently. However, we are going to spend a very good time on learning this concept, even in a later point of time as well. Let's not worry. For now, you can say I don't get a complete idea of joins. Maybe I'll give you some document related to joins that I have created, that SQL session that I have created. You guys can take that SQL and go through that session, what is taken by our prior team members, and you can try to understand the join concept and all means what. Or I'll just very quickly cover the join. One minute I'll take to cover a join means what. Then you guys can go through that video also. Whoever is not familiar in SQL, please make use of this time. This year end you make use, guys, to say, I got SQL, some grip on SQL. Please just try to understand. Okay, now built-in functions. Built-in functions means what? Predefined functions. There are different types of functions available. Predefined function, user-defined function, system-defined function, like this and all we have. But what is a function? Function is a program that is being created and kept ready in our database to perform some operations on the data. So I have some data in our hand. I want to perform some count operation, sum operation, average operation, minimum operation. All are going to aggregate the data and give you as a very minimal data set. That is aggregation functions. I have string functions. I have date functions. I have numerical functions. I have a lot of functions like that available to apply on my data. This functions learning only we are going to do heavily in our entire learning journey. But there are different types of functions available, right? String functions, numerical functions, or date functions, or maybe like aggregation functions, what we have seen already, conversion functions, casting functions, like etc. functions we have available in every system, including a database. Some function I am quickly covering here. String function. String functions are like something called sub-str function. Sub-str function means it is going to give me the substring of the data. So I am having how many characters here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 characters. I want to take only the first 2 characters of this job ID. I don't want to know the entire add plus add VP or add VP, IT programmer, FI account, FI manager, like that. ST man or PU clerk and all, I don't want it. I want to see the first 2 characters of the data. I'll say what? Do a substring operation. Substring of the job ID, comma 1, comma 2, I'll say, as first 2 characters of the data. Like this, when I write the query, It will show me the first row with the first 2 characters alone shown in the output. So what I'm doing here, I'm taking only the first 2 characters of the data, that is showing add IT, FI, PU, ST. We call it as a string function. It comes under the string category function, substring function, sub-str. Let me take some other function. I'm getting some blank spaces in the data. I want to trim that blank space. Unnecessarily in the data, I have some space in the left or in the right. The data is stored like this in my table like this. Irfan. I have a blank space unnecessarily here and here. I want to remove that. The leading and trailing spaces I want to remove. I use what function? Trim function. Trim of job ID. Right? Space, removed value, removed job ID. That is a trim function what I can use. So unnecessary space added on the data will be removed. If I have this one with space before and after, it will be removed, or before or after, any space will be removed. I can use lower function, upper function, concat function. In the concat function, I'm going to make the first name and last name converted into a single name. So concat of first name, concat of last name. In between, I'm putting a space. Full name. So it is going to take Stephen and the King, make it as Stephen King. These are all some of the regularly used string function. There are a lot of other functions are available. Functions can't be learned overnight. I can club the functions. Upper of, concat of. I'm telling what? Convert this data into a full name, concat the data into full name, and convert that into uppercase, like this I'm telling. So, convert to the uppercase I'm doing. Right? On top of the concatenated data, I'm converting to uppercase. These are all string functions you can consider. Like this, you have number functions. Number functions. You can say maybe like mod of, modulo of. Like this, we have a lot of functions available here, like a date of, right? Or lead of, lag of. These are all number functions. Percentile of, percentage rank of, standard deviation of. Mostly number functions will be coming as an aggregated function. Let's not worry about that, but just I'm giving an idea. Modulo of the employee ID, comma, 2. So whichever the employee ID that is divisible by 2 will be shown with 0 as a value. Whichever is not divisible by 2 will be showing us 1. So I'm creating employee ID, maybe like a flag or a modulo flag value, or even or odd number. Employee ID is having an even number or odd number. Identification we are doing using the modulo function. It's a number function. I'm applying mod on the number. We can't apply mod on the string. We have to convert the string into number and apply mod. That is a different story. So this is a number function I'm applying. So the given employee, 100 modulo of 2 divisible by 2, yes, correct. 101 is not divisible by 2. 102 divisible by 2. So the number with 0 are all even numbers, even employee IDs. Number with 1 and all are odd employee IDs. An interview question even asked. How do you calculate the even and the odd data from a given table? By using mod function, modulo function. Absolute function. We have something called absolute or ABS of some value, salary. If I have a negative value on a given data, convert it into a positive value. If I have some negative value in my given data set, basically the positive value, positive salary. If I have negative salary in my data, how I can put a negative salary? Put salary into -1. It will become a negative value, right? I want to convert the negative value into positive value. I'll use what function? ABS function, absolute function, ABS, abs function. These are all some functions we learned heavily in our later learning. Done this. Done with at least the string function and the numeral function to a basic extent. Date function and all we heavily learn in our even Hive was in our Spark and everywhere. So don't worry on that. I'll cover that. I know like we have spent a lot of time today. I know like you are also exhausted and I am also exhausted. Okay. Let's stop here. After I write only one query finally for you, we'll close the discussion by that. Okay. Just try these queries and all, guys, without fail. Okay. I wanted you to parallelly try with me, but at least I know these queries and all, whatever completely I wrote, you could not able to spend time on doing it parallelly along with me, but at least these queries. Complete SQL query in one all classes in one query. So I wanted to get some output like this. Find the department or job ID wise average salary, right? Where average salary is greater than 3,000 rupees on the department of maybe like IT and HR, right? Show me, this is the question what asked from my maybe like management team. Show me the top 3 average job ID wise average salary consuming job ID details with average salary greater than 3,000, right? For a department of IT and HR, if somebody asks like this to me, what I'll do select department ID, comma, average of salary, AVG salary from the table where department underscore ID in, what are the departments I have? Let me check in my department table. I don't remember what all the departments we have in our department table. For IT and HR, IT is 60, I know. HR is 40. IT and HR, let me go and put where department ID in 40 and 60. Group by department ID having average of salary greater than 3,000. See, I can write a where class on a normal column. The group aggregated column, if I have to write a filter, right? That is what is being asked here. Irfan, can you show me the average of salary should be greater than 3,000, not just a salary. If just a salary they are telling, then I can put and salary is greater than 3,000, I can put very easily. But we are asked to use a having class, which is an where class of the aggregated data. So if I want to calculate the filter on, if I want to apply the filter on aggregated data. If I run this query, it will work without any hassle. But it will display the average salary greater than, where is the department ID 40? Okay, let me use some other department ID. So department of HR, I got to put the job ID, right? Not the department ID. Job ID I'm putting. Job ID. Job ID wise, every department job ID wise, average salary I want to calculate. But the ask is, wherever the average salary greater than 3,000 only, I want to display in the output. So what I'm doing, I'm putting a having class. If I put a where class here, and average of salary is greater than 3,000, if I put, what will happen? It will throw an error. It will say, sorry, this won't work, Irfan. You can't use group, the aggregation function in the where class. Invalid use of group function. You can't use the aggregation function in the where class. You have to use only in the having class. Like this, it will tell. So I got almost the result what is needed. It is applying average salary greater than 3,000. But show me the top one employee, one job ID alone, who is getting the top salary. So I still have to do what? Order by the column number 2, descending, then limit 1. I'm using almost most of the SQL classes. Try to analyze this query, guys. Try to put the time and effort on understanding. If I run only this line, what will happen? Along with this from class, what will happen? With where class, what will happen? Group by what will happen? Having what will happen? Order by what will happen? Limit what will happen? Try each and every of these values. Maybe I'm having one challenge, right? What is that? I went to the employee department table and I wrote this query. I applied this department ID 50 and 60. I don't know what is department 50, what is department 60. So what I'll do for that reason, I'll go and join. That is where I'll use inner join with department table on. I'll write a join condition on e dot department ID. The purpose of join I'm just showing you, equal to d dot department ID. Rather than applying the department ID filter here, I can apply what filter here? I can apply d dot department name filter here. It's easy for me to understand what are the departments we are applying we are using here. We are doing the operation here. Rather than showing the department ID, it's more better to use department name. So 50 and 60 we are using, right? Shipping and IT. So I can give shipping and IT from the department table. I can give. Rather than giving 50 and 60, I can give shipping and IT here. More better to understand. So I'm joining with the department table and telling what? Hey, join the data based on the department ID between the tables. I know join is not so easy to understand. But I want to expand the department name column from the other table. I need department name to be mentioned here in the filter. Otherwise, if I mention department ID, right, I'm not able to understand this department ID belonging to what department. So I'm using the department name itself for a better understanding. So my question is asked what? The customer asked me a question of IT and shipping department. I'm giving literally the IT and shipping department name here rather than the ID here. By that way, you'll get a better clarity on this query output. Unknown column, department ID. Maybe in the department table, what is the column name is available? Department ID only. I gave a wrong name for that. So this is joined output. I know, like, definitely I did not talk about joined yet, but just I'm giving an idea. If you want to get a better outcome, or if you want to see like this, select from join where group by having order by limit, then you can say all this can be considered. Done, team. Sorry for making you guys sit for a long time, but I wanted to, I mean, we can talk about the SQL, keep talk about the SQL. If you ask me, I'll keep talk about it, but let it be, not a problem. Try this, guys, please. Okay, try this and get back if you have any questions. But I definitely wanted you guys to just spend some time on learning the SQL efficiently, guys. This will give you a lot of better grip on IT. In IT, SQL is like our mother tongue, you know. I spoken about it already. Please spend some time, guys. My humble request. Okay. Any questions, team, before I close? I know, right? It's long time we spent. Okay. Keep going, guys. Thank you. Thank you for all your time. So will this learning be more on join and subqueries? Will we be learning? Yes, yes, yes. Very heavily we learn. Don't worry. We learn at least 2-3 times, 4-5 times. Maniandan, I'll give you by tonight. Okay. I'll try to get that by tonight. Okay. Yeah. So it will be helpful if you take joins in subqueries. Definitely, I'll take Tamim again. I'm telling, right? I take at least 10 times joins. If you don't believe, trust, I can show you how many places I'll take joins. Okay, wait for a while. So don't worry. I'm going to take it. Everywhere I'll take. Don't worry. If you see here how many places I will be using this term called join. Without teaching join, then you can't understand anything that I'm going to teach you later. How many places we are using join? You see here. You see here with the data and all. We are going to see definitely. Don't worry. Okay. And subqueries, everything we are going to learn. Okay. Not only here. Very interestingly in Spark we are going to learn. That is very important. Okay. I know, like, I did not get a chance to give you the join more in detail today, but fine, let it be. You can see joins and other part over here of learning. Analytical function part, very interesting part, very important part as well. You see here the join types we'll discuss here. You are with me? Agree, guys? Good. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Otherwise, please take it forward. I'll upload this recording, okay, and I'll share it to all of you. Okay. Please go through this and just try practicing. Thank you, team. Thank you all. Have a good day ahead. Tomorrow morning I'll meet you guys. Weekend team. Thank you all, team. Bye, guys.